As the leader of the Booner Path, I lead from the front.
All right, boys. Lock in.
It's our core foundation, man. Grit.
I'm fired up. I'm fired the f*** up, boys.
It's pumping right now. It's got my juices pumping, boys.
Welcome to Crunch Time Sports with Jeff, Booner, and Lukas. It is Thursday, May 15th, and we are back day after the schedule release. We got more stuff to talk about today in regards to the schedule. Kelvin spoke. Kelvin Sheppard. We'll get to some of his comments. He had some great ones today. Some great gems we're going to play on the show. It's going to be a great one today, fellas.
It is. Can you guys hear me?
Can, Boone.
Good to go. The music sounds like, maybe it's just in my ear at this point. Sounds like Jeff's in a club.
I keep lowering it. I
okay.
Try to...
Oh, that's cool. No, yeah. Hey, I'm doing good today, though. Maybe my ears are going out. I don't know what's happening over here. It's a beautiful day out. Kelvin Sheppard, boys. I'm a fan. It's something about when coaches talk to the media that
I was
really
going to say the John Morton all over again. It's like,
yeah, there's something about it. I'll tell you what. I enjoy when coaches talk. They fire them. I think it's Dan Campbell coaches. I watch coaches in different organizations speak and talk, and I think it's just Dan Campbell guys, man. I think he gets these guys going. There's something about him that just fires me all the way up.
It's the passion, Boone.
Am I the only one?
I know what you're saying, Boone. I think that there's a combination of you're getting these motivation, like true men in the room type of characters with Detroit. And it's also kind of coinciding with your passion for the Lions and the Booner Path narrative. So I just think it's two things that are perfectly built for what you want, Boone, in a Detroit Lions coach. So
makes me think that they're going 17-0 and winning a Super Bowl because his defense might be back, boys. I'm just saying, like, I'm not
back. Here.
No, here.
Yeah. Okay. I did have okay, never mind. I'm not going to actually get into that now. That could be a segment maybe this offseason.
Okay.
I have a thought. A thought went through my head today. I won't say it, but something happened in my head. When I drive home, I drive an hour and a half home or an hour plus home. I have some thoughts that go through my head, and something happened about Kelvin Sheppard and AG to me today, and I went, that's an interesting one. How will the people react to that? Don't think it'll be good.
You just gave it away, kind of, I think.
What? What did I do?
I think I have a feeling on what you think what you're putting down, but I won't say it because then it'll spoil it. But I think I know where you're heading with that one. And that one, I don't think they're ready for that one, food.
I don't think. Well, no, I don't. I think it's people could be ready for it. I just don't think people are ready for the truth. That's okay. People are never ready for the truth.
Oh well. It'll be a good one. We'll talk about it. He spoke today. It's nice. I mean, I get it. You get fired up when you hear the coaches speak. I mean, you don't really get to hear them too often in the offseason. So when you get to hear new coordinators speak, it is exciting, you know. I don't mean to sound like the party pooper, but I don't get too excited. I guess you get a little like, oh yeah, I'm finding out more about Kelvin, how he operates, but it's like, I don't care what happens. I got to see it. You know, I got to see it.
Are we gonna, okay. Yeah.
Because again, do I have confidence in Kelvin? Yes. But am I going to like watch the presser and be like, this dude is him? You know, it's like, no, I'm not, you know.
So my question to you and to the chat, like, and to Klotz too, because he did it yesterday with the schedule. For what's opening night? Do you guys know the exact date? Can someone give me that?
Let me guess. Are we gonna keep saying?
No.
Up until
okay, there's 115 days until opening night. Are you gonna say that for 114 days? No. Every single take that we have, every time someone speaks, when we talk about Marcus Davenport, when we talk about the offense, when we talk about the defense, are we just gonna for the next 114 days just caveat every single take we have with? I just gotta see it.
Well, Boone, I think
I don't want to hear that
with coordinators is there's especially first year. There's no context. Like if you're talking about a player, especially I'm just going to use the example you use. Could be any player. Marcus Davenport. You have past film of him playing, coaching, and coordinator play calling. You don't have any experience. There's nothing you can watch outside of oh, Kelvin Sheppard was helping AG on this play. John Morton was over there in New York play calling for a little bit. Like there's no context to what you've never seen these coaches in the situation that they're being put in right now.
Yeah, that's what you're saying.
From a player where you have film in, but I don't think you can be like, this is exactly why John Morton will be good, because you've never seen the exact reason. Kelvin Sheppard, it's not like breaking down a player. You're breaking down a coach. It's like Dan Campbell when he got hired. You could have loved the press conferences, but you truly couldn't make an opinion about Dan Campbell as far as how good he'd be until he was on the field coaching. And for a while, it wasn't good. Then it turned around.
I'm trying to stop you because
I'm allowed to talk just as much as
I'm just trying to stop you. Okay, that's not. I'm trying to stop you because like you're not answering the question that I'm answering. Like, yes, everything you said we've talked about. I'm stating like we are locked in on that. But every time we bring up anything about the offense, anytime we bring up anything about the defense, there's always a caveat at the end. But you got to see it. Like, let's just stop saying that. Like, let's break down these things without having to put the caveat. We know if for the next 114 days we do 8 segments a day. So what's that? 114 times 8. I have to hear. I want to see it.
Yep.
I will break my computer in half.
Well, that computer is going to get snapped. That's all you're going to hear every segment.
Yeah, think about this, Boone. How many shows have we done? 300. I'll ask you because clearly I don't know. Do I come off as I got to see it guy? Do I come off as that?
No, but the last 48 hours, every segment we've had and every point that has been made, it has either started or ended with that phrase.
No. It has.
We should get a shirt. We should get a shirt that has that phrase on it.
Now you're
trademark it.
Because what did I say about the offense? You've heard the take. Let me hear it.
Got to see it.
Nope. I said they wouldn't be as good as Ben, but they'd still be a top 7 offense, top 6 offense. So what is that?
I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. When you say things, you gotta just think about it. Has he said something about this before? I already gave my take about the offense and the defense. I think the defense will be better than the best defense we've seen. Now, how good of a defense? That's where it's like, I'm not going to say off a press conference they're going to be top 5, but I think with the talent, they're going to be better than what they've been. You know, they should be top 10. That's my expectation for them. But I've said that. I literally said that. I've said that as many shows as we've done together, Boone. You've heard me say, Klotz, would you say top 10 offense?
Yeah, I think they'll both take as far as offense, they'll take a step back. Won't be anything bad. Defense, I have a little bit more confidence in, but it's not like anything where it's like, I think it's the best defense in the league. We've said these the day that they were hired.
I've heard it. Listen, this isn't a bad thing. You guys are saying it. It's not that I disagree or anything. It's just like we are in May, and by golly, great love of Jesus. Or baby Jesus, as Talladega Nights says, like, I am so tired of hearing it already. And we're only in May. We haven't even gotten to a camp
What is your famous saying? Remember I used to say to me, Jeff, not everything has to be a take. It can be but now everything has to be a take. So you know what? That's fair, Boone. We're going to give only takes now. No, you can't go back on what you told me. Everything's got to be a take. It can't be a thought.
Exactly. So every time you have a take, let's not end it with the caveat. Have the take with your chest. Like, I don't want the caveats to it all the time.
Well, that's not how.
Shout out, my mom's name is Booner too.
Sometimes like this.
Shout out your mom.
When we were talking about Kelvin Sheppard, I don't know what to make of him fully. I can tell you where I expect the defense to be. I can expect all this stuff. But I think if someone were to be like, hey, I saw that press conference, Kelvin might be one of the best DCs. You're an idiot. You're an idiot.
I think I didn't say
you're an idiot.
Did I say he might be one of the best DCs?
Not you. But no, I'm saying if someone were to base like that take off a press conference, like there's nothing to take from a press conference. You know what I mean?
There is. I'm pumped up. He's up there. He like it pumps you up to see that Kelvin Sheppard is growing. That you could tell that he is up there, and it's like, hey. This is DC Kelvin Sheppard. Like you could tell that he's trying to take that next step.
Yeah,
that pumps me up. Like and you go there and like it gives you more. I'm not going to say he's the best DC. Like that's one of those things, Jeff, where you twist words and you throw it back.
I didn't say you. I'm saying if someone were to watch that presser and be like, this guy's the next
thing with Kelvin is what I like to see is it gives me more confidence hearing him talk about the defense and actually hearing him. And we're going to do segments on it later, but actually hearing Kelvin Sheppard be like, I'm like adding in his pieces to this defense and how the guys like, you never know with the new DC, especially a guy who was a former player just a couple years ago and, was in the building, how players and teams react to them becoming a DC, right? Like sometimes it's like, do they get the respect? And you see some DCs and OCs not work out because maybe there wasn't the respect factor there. It's good, and it gives me a lot of confidence. I'm not saying I never thought Kelvin did it. I think Kelvin did. But knowing that, like him saying it today, like how much the players respect him and how well it's going in the first week and like how good the positional coaches are handling everything with the new young DC. Like if you didn't watch that press conference today, Jeff, and feel a little bit more confident, same thing with John Morton yesterday that we talked about. Like if you don't watch those press conferences and get a little bit more confidence, that's I don't know what to say to you.
It's just not my cup of tea. I've told you that. It's the same thing with Liam Cohen. What did I say? I'm consistent. What did I say with Liam Cohen's press conference? I don't give a shit about a press conference. I like Liam Cohen. So like,
yeah, it's different than introductory. Like these guys are like, they're in practice now. They're having conversations about what's happening in practice. I get it what you're saying. I do get it what you're saying.
Yes, I've been like that. You can disagree with that. That's fine. You can look at it differently. I look at it like, okay, Calvin, yeah, like I like it, right? I love his 3 A's, attention to detail, alignment. What was the other one? He had another A. Assignment. And then he had like, I like, okay, cool. But it's like, I don't care. You know what I mean? I got to see this thing. And you know what I mean?
I'm not going to disagree. Like, I fully agree with you and Klotz on that. Fully. I just don't want to hear that every day when we have conversations.
You won't hear it every day, but when it's when there's times where it's like, like this, I'm going to throw it out there.
I am with you guys. I think it's like that with anything, like a player.
We came full circle. We just want to bring
I would agree with you 10 times more, Boone, if it was like, for example, Kellen Moore, like if you're getting him at an OC, like somebody who's done this thing very recently, even like a year ago, if you hire Vic Fangio, like I think there's a lot more to know what to expect than this type of situation. Just because
you started off with, you would agree with me. I agree with you, boys. I want that known. I agree with you, boys. That needs to be on the record.
So we just went through all that to agree, basically.
No, the beginning. Can we stop saying that after every single take?
But Lukas is explaining why. Like, if he was a proven guy, like, well, I have data to base it off of. You know what I mean?
Yes, I agree with you, boys. I'm on your guy. I see what you guys.
So you agree that sometimes I got to see it
for the 10th time. You keep asking me if I agree. Don't know how.
Why do we argue?
I just said I don't want to hear it every single day.
Do I say it every single day?
We're on a 2-day saying it streak right now.
I didn't. No, I did not say it yesterday.
Klotz said it yesterday. He said with the offense yesterday.
What are we doing? This is a mess. We got to move on. This is a disaster. Let's just move on.
It's not. You're making a disaster,
no, this is
bro.
So
I mean, that was pretty. I mean, every time I say something, this guy Jeff's like, "It's a disaster." I'm not.
Well, because it doesn't make sense.
All right, move on, bro. Move on.
I say it every day.
Nothing makes sense to you.
This doesn't. I mean, I don't say we got to see it every day. That's not true.
If you listen,
we move, boys. We move, boys. We move.
But you know what is true is Caleb Williams almost went to the UFL. All right, that's true. Apparently, didn't want to play for the Bears. Saw ESPN report it. Said he'd rather play for the Vikings. Which, looking at it from his perspective, why wouldn't you want to play for the fucking Vikings? All right, like that to me, I don't think is a bad thing. You could probably dunk on Bears fans with that and be like, well, your own quarterback didn't even want to play for you. But then he had the quote where he's like, I do want to play for the Bears. But I think that's just kind of, I don't know how you can go into a draft. Like, you want to be the number 1 overall pick, but you go to Chicago where they've never had, let alone, I mean, they've had very few good quarterbacks, a great quarterback. He will be the exception. I still believe that.
You think he's going to be Jay Cutler, huh?
And now, if he went to the Panthers, shout out to the Panthers. If he went to the Panthers,
he would be bad there too.
Yeah, what are we with the Panthers? Why we do the Panthers?
Because he almost went to the UFL.
Oh, you're talking about Panthers. I thought you were talking about Carolina.
I mean, we're talking NFL. You have to say Carolina or Michigan or something. You can't just say the Panthers.
All right, Michigan Panthers. Sorry.
He did say he wanted to go to the Minnesota Vikings, which probably makes it that much worse for Chicago Bears.
Who wouldn't though?
But like just the fact that like you get drafted by an NFC North team and like you're out there telling people, like knowing that the number one team is just knowing that it's the Chicago Bears and then just turning it around and being like telling someone in your circle, I want to go to the Vikings is the craziest thing to do. Like that's nuts, man. Bears fans should feel terrible, to be honest.
I mean, I don't know if you can. Like, would you blame?
It's tough to get that lead. It's tough.
Let's say hypothetically, the Detroit Lions, they instead of trading for Jared Goff, we're about to draft a quarterback. If you were if we were a Lions fan, could you blame anyone for wanting to join not like if they didn't want to join Detroit following what happened with Bob Quinn and Matt Patricia? Can't blame them. Like historically, like outside of Matthew Stafford, there's been nobody. So even if I was a Bears fan, I wouldn't be too hurt. But it does just lean right back into that. Caleb Williams is the most over-the-top, dramatic, baby, sucker, loser, biatch in the NFC North at the quarterback spot. And I'm happy that he's in Chicago because I don't think – I mean, he'll have success, but he won't reach his ceiling ever with Ben Johnson in Chicago.
You know how stupid that
outdoors.
Sounds. You know how dumb that sounds.
He won't reach his ceiling. He won't. To your point, if he was with the Carolina Panthers,
Michigan,
or the Minnesota Vikings, we'd see that ceiling. But he's playing in the Windy City, baby.
Panthers. That's on me, not Carolina Panthers.
Well, I was correcting you. If he would land, if he would have landed with Sean McVay in LA somehow, we'd see that ceiling. But Caleb Williams, he'll be a fine NFL quarterback. Jaden Daniels would be better.
I mean, and you're the one who said we got to wait and see for a second year. You haven't said anything about Caleb. What about his second year?
I just did.
So he's going to shit the bed.
He'll be a very fine quarterback. Okay. Very fine quarterback. He ain't reaching that ceiling. Shane Waldron was the problem. I'm sure it was Shane. Look in the mirror, bucko.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. Let's just get to the schedule thing. All right, we want to do a game today. Yesterday, we went through every game, broke it down game by game. On yesterday's show, it was a lot of fun. Got into some good discussions there. Then we had the doc on. But we didn't actually dive into, I don't know, specific matchups, games. And today we're going to do that. We're going to play a game. We're going to have different types of games. And you're going to tell me what game fits that category. We have most intriguing game. We have biggest trap game, toughest game, biggest blowout, most important game, and then shootout game. All right. So the first one we're going to do is most intriguing game. Okay. So when you look at the schedule, to you, what is the most intriguing game? Storylines, all of that stuff. Let me know.
Before we start, fellas, this can both be positive and negative, correct?
Yeah. Intriguing, okay. I guess.
Intriguing. I would say just your interpretation. Your interpretation, Klotzy.
Okay, Boone. Sounds good. I just want to make sure we're all aligned there.
All right. Well,
I'll let someone else go first here for this one.
I don't mind starting.
The most intriguing game. This one's a layup. Like it's a layup in my opinion. Let me tell you this.
Taking a long time for you to drive to the cup on this layup. My Lord. Fucking.
So I think the most intriguing game to me is Lions.
This is like Paul Reed offensively right now. Get it moving.
Lions Bears at Ford Field. That's the most intriguing game. I think it's storyline purposes. Ben Johnson in Ford Field. Caleb. You have Jonah Jackson. Don't forget about Jonah, former Lion. No, I think that's the most intriguing game. I do. With a whole basically new offensive line, new look Bears, Ben Johnson's return. To me, that's easily the most intriguing to me.
Boone, you want to go next? You want me to?
Yeah, I mean, I have mine. I don't know if I'm guessing we don't have the same one. I feel like I know which one you're going to go with, so I'm just going to – I don't think I have. I'm going to go November 16th, Week 11, the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm going to go the Eagles. I just think on the schedule, like the Super Bowl champs, you want to know where you're at. That's the team, I think, in my opinion, in the playoffs you have to go through to win the Super Bowl or to get to the Super Bowl. It's going to be the Philadelphia Eagles again. I think you're the top two teams, and you're on the road. So you're going to know, like, hey, where do you stand? that to me, I have that's my number one like circled game on the schedule is that Philadelphia Eagles game to see where this team is, how they can hold their own against the Eagles. Can they go on the road and beat them? Like, I think there's a lot of questions in that matchup that can determine what you do in the playoffs. So I'd have to go with Philadelphia Eagles for my most intriguing.
Eagles, great game. Bears, great game. Most intriguing to me, fellas, is that Washington Commanders matchup the week right before the Philadelphia Eagles for a couple reasons.
It's a good one.
One, obviously the revenge from the playoffs. Two, you're going to get that healthy defense back to see that team and how they maybe would have fared in the playoffs. But the most important one is now that you're about to be going into Philadelphia, so you don't want to be overlooking them. But these coordinators that we just talking about, John Morton, Kelvin, Sheppard, at that point in the season, I do expect them, especially after coming after a bye, to start finding their footing and defensively. That's the first matchup that you're really going to see after that bye, them against a mobile quarterback. Jaden Daniels RPO'd them to death last year. And you're going to have to see, just like you were saying about the Eagles, Boone, I don't know who's going to win the NFC East. I think the Eagles do, but the Commanders could be right in your way again for another season. But you're going to see Lamar early on. I want to see what this defense looks like about halfway through the season against a mobile RPO young quarterback. So I think the Commanders is a very intriguing matchup.
The only reason why I didn't put the Commanders is because I think the Lions would have beat them if healthy. So I like – it's still intriguing, though. And the Eagles, that's another one. We have other categories here, too. I just think storyline purposes, the Bears is the best one to me. So I'll go to the next category here because we got through intriguing. I have the Bears. Boone has the Eagles. You have the Commanders. All very intriguing games. What about the biggest trap game on the schedule? Biggest trap game,
Jeff.
So I think this is where I went with it. I think even though I think the Lions win this game, I think a game that could sneak up on them would be the Vikings game after the bye, because I think what happens after that, there's a stretch of really good teams, and I think you could be in a scenario where you're looking ahead. So that's where I think that Vikings game is interesting because it's a divisional game. We don't know how good JJ is. I don't think he's going to be as good as maybe other people think he will be. But I think that game could be that trap game where it's like, hey, we have Washington, we have Philly, and you have the Vikings just right after that bye week. And I know the Lions are really good after bye weeks. I just think there could, not that the Lions do this, but it's human. You're like, man, we play Commanders, we play Philly on the road. I think that Vikings game, I think it's in Ford Field. I think that could be a sneaky little trap game.
I don't hate it. I don't hate it. I'll tell you why. I said my trap game yesterday when we were doing the schedule, when we were breaking down the schedule, and I had them losing this game because it's a trap. In my opinion, it's a trap game. There's a stretch of football, boys, where the Lions have week 13, the Green Bay Packers and Thanksgiving. They play Dallas at home the next week. They've traveled to Los Angeles, and they come back home to the Steelers. And then after that, they play Christmas on the road. My trap game, boys, I said it yesterday, that Christmas Day game. I think they dropped that game. I do. I think after that stretch of ball, I think you played in Thanksgiving, like that Thanksgiving to Christmas Day stretch, like that's brutal. Like, and I know the teams aren't as tough as they were before, but just playing on the two holidays, playing the Cowboys, going on the road to the Rams, we know the emotional kind of side of that. And then the Steelers is kind of one of those games where you're most likely going to win at home. So you're on a high, and then maybe you get caught off guard with that Vikings game on Christmas Day. Guys are worried a little bit about Christmas. They're on the road for Christmas Day. Like, it's just not a good situation altogether. I still can't believe the fact that the Lions are playing on Christmas Day and Thanksgiving. Like, that's baffling to me. I know there were some fans that were like, I love it. That means we're good. Like, for us, boys, I mean, I guess it's like welcome to the industry. Like, this is what it's all about, I guess. So I think it's the same thing for the players, coaches, the staff. So I think that Vikings game, that second, I like your first one, Jeff, but I think that second Vikings game I would take as my trap game.
Yeah. Christmas is a good one for trap games. That's like, not everyone gives a shit about playing.
Especially on the road, away from the family.
Everyone wants to be home. Anyway.
And it's hard because usually when I think of trap games, I think of like, I don't know, the Browns are on the schedule, the Giants are on the schedule, and the Steelers are on the schedule, but the only one that's on the road is Cleveland. I do not see them losing to Cleveland. If I had to pick one, And again, it's kind of hard to call it a trap game, but I have to go with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers because it's coming right after the Kansas City Chiefs and it's right before the bye week. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are just constantly giving the Detroit Lions hell. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to be good, but the Detroit Lions are supposed to be better. Just like last year, how it snuck up on them. Todd Bowles made Ben Johnson and that offense throw 55 times. Now you got John Morton. He's going to have to be the one calling the shots. And then on the other side of the ball, they had Liam Cohen last year. They had Canales. They're always going to have a good OC down there most likely. And that's going to be a test for Kelvin Sheppard because you look at personnel-wise, Tampa Bay is absolutely loaded with talent. And that's a game where it's not a must-win, but it's also a very important game. So if I had to pick a trap game outside of, again, the Giants, I think you guys with the Vikings is a good one, but I think the Buccaneers are right up there as well. I feel like that's a game that we're all as Lions fans saying, you know what? They're going to get their get back and win on Monday night, but I don't think that game is a lock by any means.
Yeah, Tampa will probably be that, they'll win 9-10 games, probably 10 games. But they'll still be a sneaky,
they'll be the fourth seed in the NFC probably.
Yeah. All right, well, the next game, flat out, toughest game on the schedule. What would you guys say the top? Because for me, it should be. There's two ways you can look at this.
I wrote two. Yeah, I wrote two teams down.
I'm gonna go with one that I think matchup wise would cause problems for the Lions, and that's the Ravens to me. I think the Ravens is the toughest one. Even though the Eagles, I get it. The Eagles are the Eagles. They won the Super Bowl. I just think matchup wise, man, that's just a tough matchup. You have Lamar and Derrick Henry. Jalen Hurts, and I get it, Jalen, Saquon. But Lamar is one of the hardest guys to game plan for, just point blank, period. And they just don't match up well with the Ravens historically. So, and we know Lamar's record against NFC teams. I stated that multiple times. So I'm going to go with the Ravens for me. The toughest match. It's early in the season too, so you're probably iron out some wrinkles a little bit. So I'll go with the Ravens.
Should I just say my two because my first one was the Ravens?
Yeah, say your second one, Boone.
So I had the Ravens. I think the Ravens, I think that should be, at least I'm with you. And Klotz, you said it yesterday too. That matchup is tough. Lamar, the way he plays with Derrick Henry, that's tough. And that defensive secondaries are brutal. That's going to be a matchup. When do they play? That's a night game, right?
3.
Monday Night Football.
Week 3, Monday night.
So it's prime time in Baltimore. That's brutal. So that's my number one. I think that should be everyone's one. If I had to pick another one outside of Jeff's, the one that Jeff said, I would just say the Los Angeles Rams.
Respect I think that, Boone.
I think they win.
Boone.
I'm going to still stand that they win the game.
Yeah.
But going on the road, you've played them a bunch of times. I think the Lions have their number, but when you play teams a million times, eventually, right? Eventually, especially good teams, they're going to get one. And I think it's going to be a tough game. They know everything in and out about the Detroit Lions now. Everything about Jared. They know everything. We know everything about them. It makes that matchup really, really hard, especially being on the road, even though they don't have a good home field atmosphere. But I would say the Rams are number 2 on this list, in my opinion.
Great picks to both of you. And I think that I would probably have those in my top 3 in no order. If I had to add the third one in there, again, in no order, it would be going to Kansas City. And I think what makes it tough is the fact that I think talent-wise, I think the Lions and the Chiefs are very similar, but that's going to be a game where it comes down to just coaching. And I think that it's going to be quarters 1 through 4. There's neither team's going to pull away. It's going to be Jared Goff making a throw, Patrick Mahomes making a throw. Patrick Mahomes making a throw, Jahmyr Gibbs making a run. Defensive plays out of Chris Jones. I just think these are two disciplined football teams that don't make a lot of mistakes. And at the end of the day, I do have the Lions losing that game, but it comes down to coaching. I just think when you look at Kelvin Sheppard and John Morton, they are going to have a lot on their plates, both with the personnel that the Chiefs have, but now you got Andy Reid calling plays and Steve Spagnuolo dialing up a defense. That gives any team in NFL history trouble. So 2 first-year offensive or 2 first-year coordinators practically with John Morton on the offense side. That's going to be difficult for them. Not saying that it's impossible for them to win. I think it's a close game, but I think the Chiefs do come out on top because of the coaching.
What about the biggest blowout? Because there's some easier games. I mean, none of these games are easy, but favorable matchups.
Yeah,
for the Lions. For me, I got to go with I think this team is going to be right back competing for a top pick. It's the Browns. I mean, I think that Browns game could be bad for the Browns. Like, it's at home too. I can see that game, especially because I have that as a loss facing Baltimore. Mm-hmm. Then they come back home, face the Browns, and I think they're just going to score a shit ton of points. And they're probably going to put up 37 points with 38 points, and the Browns will have like 14 or something. 13. Joe Flacco, 2 picks. You might see Sheppard in the fourth quarter. Yep. So give me the biggest blowout. It's the Browns, man. It's too easy.
I have like one that I think could happen, and it's versus a very good team.
I'm interested because I have the same thing going on, Boone.
There's
not a very good team, good team. Yeah, I wouldn't even call them that.
I think they're a good team. They're a team that could make a run in the playoffs. Is yours? So my original one I wrote down. I have the New York Giants. That's my original one. I had the Giants.
Like, do you think the Giants can make a run?
No. That's
okay. Yeah. Do the other one then. Do the other one.
I think the Giants are like, to me, I think they blow them out. I don't think that's going to be a close game. Week 5 on the road versus Cincinnati Bengals. That defense has a lot of holes, and I don't mean just like a couple. They have a lot of holes on that defense right now, and we saw last year the games that the Bengals were in. They were in some high scoring games where they gave up 40, 50 points. If this team is anything like last year's team, and they have, like, let's say 1 injury in the first 4 weeks, I think there's a chance at that Bengals game, if the Lions are fully rolling after 4 games, knowing what you are versus the Ravens, adjusting everything versus the Browns, and then being ready to go week 5 on the road versus Cincinnati. It's a hot take. Like, I wanted to get one just to see like a decent team. I think if there was a good team that they blow out, I think it would be the Bengals. I really do. I don't think that's that crazy either with that defense.
Boone, I don't believe that will be the case, but I see what you're trying to put together there, and it's very similar to one that I have. I have the Cowboys being the biggest blowout of the game, because when you look at the Cowboys, especially late in the season, the Cowboys defensively, they're going to have Micah Parsons, and they'll probably have a couple other guys. Zigbo will be getting to the quarterback, but in the secondary, they're going to be giving up yards. And by week, week 14, Dak Prescott or CeeDee Lamb or George Pickens will be hurt, and they still will not have a running game. So you're going to ask Dak Prescott to sit back there and throw 40, 50 times yet again, and he's going to have them probably a handful of drives where they can get past the 50 but not score, and the rest of them will probably be 3 and outs, because if you can't run the ball against the Detroit Lions, you're not winning that game. And I think that Dallas with Schottenheimer, that's not the sauce. That's not the sauce to put up points, especially with that offense. So give me the Dallas Cowboys on Thursday Night Football getting spanked. I think that'll be just a game where Lions are just going to be rolling. They're going to be rolling at that point in the season, and the Cowboys won't stand a chance. They'll be coming back down to earth. The Cowboys, if they have their ups and downs, that Lions game will be a downfall for the regular season for them.
What about the most important game? Most important, and this could be, for different reasons. I think most, because it's like, when you're talking about most important games of the season, usually they're like later for seeding, but it doesn't have to. It could be,
your interpretation
for pride, stuff like that. It doesn't have to be just for all the other stuff. So for me, the most important game, I think, would have to be the Philadelphia Eagles. I think that game to me is the most important, because it sets a tone. You're going against the Super Bowl champions. I don't care if they lost Josh Sweat, Darius Slay. I don't care. I think that's the game that you can measure. It's a measuring stick for where you are as a team. So I think the biggest game. It's not the rematch with the Commanders. It's the Eagles. It's that Eagles game to me. I think that's the most important.
Can I even say the same one twice on this?
That's why I
think you could use it. Like, you're saying, use a game that you used before.
Yeah, I can't say the Eagles again, can I?
I try to find. We know that you think the Eagles, but find another case.
I'll switch up. Klotz, you can go, because I need to rethink mine now.
Okay. I was like, you know what? De facto Eagles, right? And I was like, no, because that's 2024 Super Bowl champions, okay? And I'm running with my narrative, okay? By this point in the season, it'll be clear that the Philadelphia Eagles are obviously the Super Bowl champions. And if you were playing them in like the first month of the season, it'd be right there. But there's a team that we've been talking about, I've been talking about all offseason, that's going to be the number one team in the NFC, and that's the Los Angeles Rams. And you're going on the road, and that's a game that I think is the most important because the lines at that point are going to be very close to hopefully sealing the division. And you play the Vikings and the Bears the 2 weeks after them. You're going to be going up, like I said, the Rams, they have the easiest schedule out of all the contenders, if you want to label them that. I think they're going to be the number one team in the NFC, and that's going to be the class of the NFC. So that's going to be your last shot. Like, hey, Vikings, Bears, obviously good teams, but week 15, that's going to be your last shot to play like a true contender before you get into the playoffs. You're going up against an elite quarterback, an elite head coach, and what I think this year will be an elite defense, and they got playmakers as well. So the Rams are going to be very good, and I think that's going to be the most important. That's going to be the best team coming out of the NFC this year. If you can pull off a win there, that'll be huge for momentum and obviously bragging rights. You still have yet to lose to Sean McVay with Dan Campbell when it mattered.
I like that. It fits your narrative.
It does.
Klotz, you know what that means? That's consistency there.
Consistency.
We're
no Caleb Williams here.
Oh.
What does that mean?
Yeah, that was.
That one didn't land, Klotz.
It will. It'll land week 2.
You'll see this year.
Wait on it. You're gonna have to see. Wait and see.
Okay. All right.
I'm gonna since I'm gonna switch mine up.
Sorry, Bill. I respected.
And I keep saying I'll do a favor here. Since I already had the Eagles, I'm not gonna give mine out. I saw some people in the chat giving out week 1 versus the Packers.
Packers? That's fair.
The week 1 versus the Packers. And when I see that, I'm like, okay, if you think about it a little bit, boys, think about this Detroit Lions team goes into Green Bay week 1 and loses. The conversations to be had. The conversations of the coordinators right away. The conversations are, hey, are the Lions really going to be that team this year? Look at the schedule they have coming up, and they couldn't even beat the Packers on the road. I think that's a big one. I do. I think you have to go on the road, and you have to. I'm not going to say I know it's that thing, and Jeff, you could say something. Everyone says this every week. The must win. I think you have to win week 1. Like opening night, I think you have to win that game. And I don't think there's like a world where like if you lose that game and start 0-1, the world's not crashing and everything's not coming in on, like, you know what I'm saying, like coming down on you.
Not on fire yet.
But reality, people are going to look at it like that. Not just Lions fans, and I'm not in the Allen Park building. National media is going to look at it like that, and they're going to get killed if you lose week 1, and the pressure mounts up instantly. In a season where you're expected to go win a Super Bowl, guys are healthy again, and in a season to where you have the toughest schedule in the NFL, especially in the first 11 games, you have one of the toughest schedules in the NFL by a mile. You lose week 1, that pressure, like, it squeezes on you, and you're like,
you got Baltimore 2 weeks later. So think about the possibility of starting out 1-2, and then here comes then you got the Browns bounce back to 500, hopefully. Bengals, Chiefs, like you said it, Boone. First 11 weeks. Whew.
I want to find Jeff. Do you have that graphic that I sent in the chat?
Let me see. Yeah, I can grab it.
Let me see if I can. Can you snag that? The first 11 weeks graphic. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's actually shocking.
Oh wait. Yeah, hold on.
Do you have it?
I have the rest one. Yeah, if you pull it up. Where's it in?
Grab it real quick.
Looked like a Warren Sharp type of post.
It was a Sharp football one. Yeah. That's exactly what it was. But it's shocking though. It's like when you see it, you're like, there's no way. But like, yeah, no, there's a way.
Oh,
the first 11 weeks. I got it up here.
Oh, okay.
You see the name underneath the picture down there, Jeff? What does it say?
I can't see it.
You can't see that? Klotz, do you see that?
I do.
What does it say?
I plead the 5th here.
Jeff,
I know my rights.
Just put the graphic up.
Oh, have a little fun, Jeff Iafrate. The 2025 NFL strength of schedule, weeks 1 through 11, based on forecasted wins. Look where the Detroit Lions are. The hardest schedule. 32, and look how far down they are, boys.
Yeah,
like that is not like it's not like they're just right there with they are significantly lower. And look where the Packers are at the top left.
Hey, for NFC North purposes, that game is important, that week 1, because you can't win the division week 1, but you probably lower your chances of winning it if you don't. It's hard to win. It's hard. I mean, what's the stat if you go 0-2 or 0-3? What's the playoff percentage?
Very low. Like that's why.
Like, what's the division if you go like 0-2 or something? You know what I mean? Probably not that good. So, probably you got to win that game just to set the tone. At least get a win right off the rip. So I agree with that take. This graphic's insane. How did the Bills get the third easiest, and they won like what? How many games
in their divion?
Yeah, 13.
They're probably playing the AFC South this year. That's why what's going on.
Of course,
I'll have to find the clip too. We gotta because we're gonna have to react to it, and we'll post on social when I get it. But Mike Florio's reaction to the Lions schedule is about as obnoxious as you would think it would be. Like this man has the Lions down from what they were last year. And it's consistent for Mike Florio because he's a Vikings fan. He usually preys on the downfall of the Lions. But when he saw this, because I'm pretty sure he saw this graphic specifically, he was like, it's going to be a rough first stretch. And he called the Lions lucky, actually, for getting the schedule that they did. If you could believe it or not. Lucky. Lucky.
Yeah, that's a Mark Florio quote. They're lucky. But you know what though? He's not the only one. I saw a Bleacher Report who, they is my employer. Do respect them, but I don't know who wrote this article, but I saw 9-8. Like, what are we doing? 9-8?
It's just, I mean, what's Vegas at 10.5? So yeah, 9.
Yeah,
I don't see this team unless there's an injury. Knock on wood, but you can use that for any other team. I don't see this team falling under 10 wins. Like that's where it's like this team was just completely failed at the hiring process of the coaching staff. Like, because you can't blame it on the players. You can't. Like, this is when you look at this roster, that's a 12 win roster when you're looking at it on paper. So that would say like even the assistant coach is just utter failure at the coaching spot.
There's a point though too. Like at the end of the day, and like the Eagles when they got their new OC in DC, like they still won how many games? Like 12. And it was, do you see what I'm saying? Like, yeah, it's like you can have it all over like this is where me and Jeff had that conversation a couple weeks ago. Where it's like those guys could be bad, and you still have like I was thinking about it today, Klotz. I was watching the Jahmyr Gibbs highlight, and I'm like, how could John Morton be bad with that guy in the backfield? Like you could literally call 10 straight plays and just be like, run the ball up right behind Panay, and you're fine. Like you're gonna win 10, 11 games. Now, are you gonna win a Super Bowl if the OC isn't able to get to that next step? No, but like staying like the roster that you have constructed right now, there's too much talent on it for them to end up only winning less than 9 or less games. Like there's just too much talent. Unless like again you had like last year, so many guys get hurt, and the coordinators are bad. But I just think with the talent you have, there's just no way they get to 9-8, and
that would be
it's crazy.
If they're 9-8, someone's got to fall on a sword. Unless Jared Goff goes down, like that's
the only thing. If they're 9-8, it's not of the coordinators. That's Dan Campbell. I'll say it.
That's
the head coach.
Yeah, that would be that's an implosion. I don't know how that would, and I would need context. Obviously, I don't know who I'd blame, but that would be bad. You wouldn't win the division. You'd probably be third in your division.
You might not. Yeah, you're probably not making the playoffs.
You might see the Vikings guy that I tweeted out.
Yeah, that was something, dude.
Said the Lions are going to finish last in the division. Like come on, dude.
That's what I'm saying. I said this the other day. Like people say dumb shit. There has to be like, and I'm glad that guy's getting roasted. I don't know who he is. Good luck to him. Make content, and do your thing. But when you say dumb shit like that, I don't know.
React.
Yeah, you have to have people absolutely cooking that, man. Like even we're Lions. We cover the Lions, but I'm not gonna say the Vikings are for sure last. Like I think it's gonna be a battle. I think there's the division stacked. I can pick and choose who I have in it, but they're all gonna be really good. You know what I mean? So yeah, I don't know how that's whatever. All right, we have one more game. Shootout game, because you've already said the game, Booner. To me, the shootout game is the Bengals. I don't think it's a blowout. I think it's a shootout. I think for me, just my opinion, I think Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, and Jamar, just those 3 players, they'll probably score 24, 27 points at least. I think this game will probably be 37, 31, 38, 30, like something in that ballpark where it's like 60 plus combined points. And the Lions find a way to win because of their defense. But I think Joe, he's probably going to pick apart this secondary. It's just how it is. It's not a bad thing. He just does it every game. So with no defense, I see that game being a shootout in my opinion. So I'm going to go with the Bengals.
Since I just have to go with a different game, I feel like I've named almost every game. I'm just going to go with the Commanders. After we saw,
I was thinking that one too.
Yeah, we saw in the NFC Championship game, that offense with Jane Daniels, and now they have Debo, and did they get a running back, by the way?
No, they didn't. They needed to.
That's crazy that they didn't. Yeah. I thought they maybe later in the. I want to look that up yesterday. No way.
They took I want to say his name's Chris Rodriguez last year, who was a rookie, and he gave him some juice. I don't know though, Boone. I was with you. Like that. I said they should have took a Marion Hampton. Like obviously he wouldn't have been there, but Travion somebody or in the middle of the draft. So Cam Scadaboo somebody.
That's a crazy move from them. I still think it's a shootout though. I think that Commanders game is just high scoring. Both teams are high scoring, high powered offenses. And it just feels like that's just a back and forth game. Probably, I don't know. A high scoring, I guess, is like in the 40s each team. I think this game's high 30s, low 40s. I bet you the over under when it comes around will be pretty high. Remember, it was like one of the highest over unders in NFL history last year. Was it not? Was it that game?
Which one was it, Moon?
Or like in playoff history, the Commanders Lions.
Oh, I don't know. I think
it was like a record. I think it was like one of the highest of all time over unders in playoff history. I think it'll be the same thing this year. Obviously, our defense will be better, but I still think it'll be good. A good game.
Yeah, I like that one. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna try to find a different one. If I had to pick, I'm gonna go with the Vikings after the bye week because I think naturally Lions after bye week very good, but also again we've seen Sam Darnold, Kirk Cousins, Josh Dobbs, Nick Mullins. Like this Minnesota Vikings team is gonna put up yards and points regardless who's at quarterback. And I just think especially when you got the Lions coming off a bye week, it's going to lead to a lot of points. So give me the most points, shootout, divisional game with the Vikings.
Hey, before we get to this Kelvin stuff, I want to pull up a quote by Sean Dion Hamilton because I think it's an interesting one. Casey Rogers spoke. He spoke about Aiden, similar to what Calvin Sheppard spoke about. He spoke about Ahmed. Or Ahmed. I know people are going at me. Oh, it's pronounced Ahmed, you idiot. I mean, whatever you think, man. Whatever you think. I
did hear Ahmed say Ahmed in his interview the other day.
We're just going with what Corey said. That's his brother. So I'm just trying to be.
I think you could say both.
Yeah, I don't think it matters. I think people are just like, well, in America, you say Ahmed. It's like, well, okay, whatever you think, dude. But I want to pull up this tweet because Sean Dion Hamilton said this about Derek Barnes. He said he made the most of his time away, becoming an even bigger student of the game, and expects him to take his game to another level in 2025.
There we go.
No, absolutely not.
Come on, Sean Dion Hamilton. Shout out, man. I love Sean Dion Hamilton, the player. Yeah, so I'm excited for him, the linebacker coach. But,
how about this, Jeff? I want to see it.
No, I get to say that, Boone. You don't get to say that with Derek Barnes after the hell you've given me.
I want to see it.
But I think this statement, I think it's exciting. I do, because it's setting a bar for Derek Barnes. So I think obviously everyone understands and agrees that Derek Barnes, he gets paid, he gets extended. It's not even like I'm making the argument for the money because it's not like he's making like top linebacker money. But the point I'm making is they chose to extend him. They believe in him. They believe in his development, his growth. So what Sean Dion Hamilton is saying, like I expect him to take the next step. It's absolutely what he should say because that's what everyone's expecting. And I think part of that's staying healthy too. So for Derek Barnes this year, I expect him to be, we talk about Anzalone and Jack Campbell as that linebacker duo. I expect Derek to kind of edge his way closer into that conversation to where you could talk about all three of those linebackers. That's where I'm getting with this. Like if I look at Derek Barnes at the end of the year as like, he's just a solid role player, I think that's disappointing to me. You know what I mean? I'm not saying he's got to be a Pro Bowler, but I think there should be moments where you're like, here, Derek Barnes making a play here, making a play there. You know what I mean? Showing why they made the right decision to give him long-term money. And I do. I like Derek Barnes. I liked him coming out of Purdue. But that's what I expect out of D Barnes. And obviously Sean Deion Hamilton does too. So we'll see. But I'm excited for him.
You want me to go or you want to go?
I messaged you on the side. I said, Klotzy, go ahead. I'll let you go. I'll go after you. I want to hear you.
I know there's been some turmoil in the past with me and this Derek Barnes situation. Because I just thought that looking at Derek Barnes, looking at this defense, that was a spot where they could have upgraded. They decided not to Hefe's point. They stuck with Derek Barnes. Contract wasn't bad at all. End of story. So now we're looking at 2025. What does Derek Barnes be? Hefe, I think it's a little egregious, if we're being honest, to say that we should expect Derek Barnes to turn into that Alex Anzalone, Jack Campbell kind of tier, or at least getting to it. Because I think both of those guys are very high-level linebackers. But Derek Barnes better be a consistent contributor to your point. He should have, if you're talking about put him at the Sam spot, where now he's getting a full season of rep there, he better be getting the quarterback. He better be solid against the run, be setting an edge, and being able to get at least 3 to 4 sacks this year if they're rushing to the quarterback consistently. Now, if they're dropping him into coverage, that type of thing, I get it. But Derek Barnes was paid to be the guy that's going to be opposite of Jack Campbell for the future, to be running mates with Aiden Hutchinson, to be developing guys behind him. Derek Barnes is a vet, but we still have yet to see a season out of Derek Barnes where we say, you know what? That's exactly why, at least from weeks 1 through 17, that's exactly why he needs to be extended. So this is the year where maybe they're basing it on projection, but he needs to show exactly why he's going to be a starter on a Super Bowl winning defense, because I don't think to this point he has proven that through a full course of the season. There's been games where Derek Barnes has looked really good, but then there's been games where it's like, all right, Derek Barnes, you have to get better than that. So we need to see consistency this year from Derek Barnes. To your point, Hefe, doesn't need to be a Pro Bowler, but I think he needs to be the point where you're comfortable out there and with no questions asked that Derek Barnes is a starter for this team. He's got to silence all the critics like me. That's what he has to do this year.
Klotz, remember what TJ Lang said?
Hey, I can't say that, can I? I can't tell him to go prove.
You can't tell him to prove you wrong or to silence the critics like yourself.
Yeah,
that is illegal for TJ Lang.
Only GMs. Or
football guys who have played in the NFL. That's
correct.
It. What credentials do you have to say that?
Who am I?
I'll say this with the Barnes stuff, boys. I'm more so with Jeff on this one to where I don't know. Like, I'm kind of with both of you boys. Like, he does have to prove it at the end of the day. He did get a decent contract, $8 million. I am with kind of Jeff on the side to where he's still a little younger to where he's kind of, you know what you're getting out of him, and he has that upside to where there are guys that are older out there who have been injured, who you're going to pay money to. And like, who was the guy you wanted, Klotz? What am I drawing a blank for? Who tore his or his Achilles in the Super Bowl?
Dre Greenlaw.
Yeah, and wasn't that who you brought up?
He was like one of them. Like I would have been.
And then Dre Greenlaw, and then guess what he did this summer in workouts?
Got hurt.
Out for the season again. So I think it's more so like, hey, a safety concern to where with Derek Barnes, you know what you have in the building. I think there's a sense of there has been times where Derek's had to step up and start games. I know, Klotz, you say you haven't seen it much. I'm interested to see his snap count through a full season to see, because he has been playing really behind Jack Campbell and Anzo for 2 years now, right? Like he's been splitting snaps with them, and he hasn't really had an opportunity to be a full-time starter at any position in the NFL when it comes to a full 17-game season. So the fact that he's now the Sam linebacker, he was improving before he got hurt. You could start seeing the growth. I do trust inside the building that a guy like Kelvin Sheppard, who is now the DC, I'm sure they had conversations with him. You got to think, Klotz, I think a positive out of it is like Kelvin's been in a room with him for 3 or 4 years. Like he has been in the film room, everything with Derek. So I do think he has a really good understanding of the Sam linebacker he wants in his defense, and he obviously trusts Derek to do it. So I'm going to lean towards more that side to where I'm like, okay, they paid him off projection, what he's going to be. Who did I say it with? I'm trying to think. With Aleem McNeil. With money comes expectations. He has to perform. I'm not going to say go out there and prove it to me like you, Klotz, because TJ Lang doesn't like that. But with the money and with the contract comes expectations.
Yeah.
So he does have to perform. He doesn't have to prove it to anyone. He has to prove it to his contract because he got paid, and he has to perform up to that $8 million. So that's all it comes down to me. I'm confident he can do it, though. I am confident. As long as he stays healthy, I think Derek Barnes is going to go out there and prove you wrong, Klotz.
I hope so. We also had an update on kind of the safety room, because I feel like that's been a pretty big conversation, just question marks with the safety room. And we got an update here. Richard Silva, appreciate him. I think he works for Detroit News. Yep, Detroit News. But he put out O'Neal, who's the safety coach, was asked about the depth at safety behind Brian Branch, Kirby Joseph, and Maddox. He said, or he mentioned there being 5 young guys: Eric Hallett II, Dan Jackson, Ian Kennelly, who's the Grand Valley former teammate of Caleb Czarnik, Maurice Norris, Maurice Norris,
he's still here,
and Lauren Strickland, who's got a great story, by the way. Worked at Target before joining the Lions. But yeah, there's
him and Chris.
There's a group of guys here that, I think is interesting. He also mentioned him. I didn't show you guys Nolan Bianchi, who also works for the Detroit News. He said Avonte Maddox will play more of a safety role.
Yeah.
So that's actually your backup safety. But then there's a collection of guys that'll compete for kind of more depth, which,
He said there's one spot. He said one of these guys. Did he not? Is that what he said? There's one spot.
There's one spot. So
I'm interested.
Hey, you fellas know who it's going to be.
I know who's going to win it. Dan Jackson's going to win it. I think, if I'm being honest, and Maurice Norris, I think he's going to, because he's been him and Lauren Strickland have been in the building, and they actually, I don't know what it is. If you guys get the same feeling about the safeties in this Lions room, it feels like anytime a safety steps into this defense, just is like pretty good. Like, especially a guy undrafted steps in and makes a play, and you're like, well, how is this guy making a play? I don't know what it is. Who's the secondary? The secondary coach must have loved his safeties, because he always has the safeties like ready to roll.
Brad Holmes,
I think Dan Jackson's going to be one of those steals, like a seventh round steal.
Jim O'Neal coaches him. Well, he's a defensive assistant, but they have Deshae Townsend.
Yeah,
Jim O'Neal might know something about safeties. I'll tell you what, that guy.
They do.
He's got it.
Yeah, Jim O'Neal and Deshae. But
Colson Loveland's going to be running a crosser down the middle. Week 18, going to be cold. Here comes that Georgia Bulldog, Dan Jackson. He's going to be lying back all by himself, cover 1. Something happened. Kirby and Brian Branch are both off the field. Dan Jackson's going to be out there. Forces a fumble. Colson Loveland's season over in Week 18. He's got to lead the game. Probably, we'll give him a neck sprain from whiplash from getting hit by Dan Jackson. Anzo picks it up, runs it back to the house. Caleb Williams cries. Bears still win the game, unfortunately, though.
He cries. Dan Jackson.
Bears still get the W, unfortunately, though.
Dan Jackson does the prime Sully running down.
Yeah,
he's doing.
I think Dan's going to be good, Klotzy. There's something. It might not be right away. Honestly, it might not even be year 1. He might be one of those guys that ends up just developing and ends up
staying around,
being an NFL long. Like, I'm trying to think of a player that's like a 7th round. That's been a long-term starter.
I was going to say Eric Weddle, too.
That's a wild. That's
Hall of Fame caliber safety. Jeff Heath. Remember Jeff Heath for the Dallas Cowboys?
Yeah. Where'd he go to school?
The white dude.
Where'd he go to school?
Jeff Heath? I have no clue.
Say it.
Did Jeff Heath did he go to Georgia?
Saginaw Valley State University.
Yes, did he really?
Jeff Heath, SVSU grad, baby. I used to watch Jeff Heath all the time.
Give me
Jeff Heath's a good. He
was one of my favorite players in the NFL, just because he was
solid too. He was solid.
He put hits on dudes, man.
He did.
He would light people up.
Of course, we're just comparing him, just all these white dudes. I mean, Jeff Heath, Eric.
What about dude in Minnesota?
Blankenship.
He's no Harrison Smith. Harry the Hitman.
He's Harrison Smith.
No, honestly, I'm gonna be real. I like the Jeff Heath comp.
Oh, I think
I'm with that. I'm with that. I love me SVSU, man.
He's from Warren. Shout out, man. Went to Lake Orion. But yeah, you know what though? Let's go, Jeff. Let's give him some love.
Go Cards.
John Lynch.
John Lynch. There, yeah. We'll do that.
John Lynch upcoming from Booner. What's that mean? I don't know what that means, Nick P. Shout out John Lynch.
John Lynch was a fucking menace.
Was he a good safety?
Oh my, he's a Hall of Famer.
I need to watch John. I
need
to watch some John Lynch highlights.
Booner, please. He was Gruden safety in Tampa when they won a Super Bowl.
Oh,
like
I'm in, man.
Played for the Broncos. He's literally one of the best safeties in NFL history.
John Lynch is?
Yeah, like he was a
That's
first ballot
awesome.
Hall of Famer.
I didn't know that. That is actually unbelievable.
Yeah.
Watch it, Boone. Watch some John Lynch highlights after.
All right, I got some clips
that.
here.
Weezy said, Booner, what? Yeah, I that's a miss on me. I didn't know John Lynch was like that as a safety in the NFL.
Yeah.
Is he in the Hall of Fame?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a first ballot Hall of Famer.
I'm a fan of John Lynch. I love when like GMs and stuff were just like absolute dogs when they play.
You'll see like why the 49ers like defense is built the way it is. Like as far as like, you know how they just have like Fred Warner who Funga's out there killing people like that. You'll see exactly why.
I'm pumped up to go watch some film. I might exit out of here real quick.
Go, yeah.
He comes back. He comes back with the 49ers hat on.
Ripped shirts. Like,
hey, I got Kelvin talking about a player that we should probably get to expectations for. He talked about Davenport.
Uh-oh.
So let's
take I have expectations.
Let's take a listen to what Kelvin Sheppard said about Marcus Davenport.
Goes well and he's able to stay healthy all season. What are you expecting from Marcus Davenport, and why do you have trust in what his role can be on this team?
Because I've seen it. We all know the only obstacle for Davenport is the health and availability. It's never had anything to do with his play. I'm talking about since he hit the scene as a first-round pick for the Saints. It's never been his play. It's always been the availability piece, like it is for every player. And he's had some setbacks in his career, but I've watched that player take no days off this offseason. He's been here just as long as the coaches have and putting in the work, and his body looks different right now. I firmly believe in speaking with him. His mindset is different right now. And then it's on me to understand what he's been through and kind of put a gauge on him, especially early in the process, because when you look at Marcus, he's a physical specimen that could do some things that guys of his size aren't supposed to be able to do. So it's me kind of meeting him in the middle and telling him from my view, this is what I see for you to try to kind of get to the long-term goal, which is to have him healthy in the postseason when we hit that stretch. And he's all in, but I have full faith in that player.
All in.
Yeah. Can I go first on this real quick?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
I just, and this is class because I don't know what you're going to say, and I fully agree with you. I think the only thing like I like about this is the thing with Kelvin Sheppard, and this is again one of those reasons why I have a lot of confidence and my confidence grows with him. Is one, he's aware. Like I don't know if you guys agree with this, but there's a lot of coaches, especially like coordinators, who like just aren't aware enough to be like, hey, this guy's injury prone. Like he is definitely like. He's gone through it his last few years, and he hasn't been healthy in a while. And, okay, if that's the case, I'm aware that is a big problem, and we need him in the playoffs. How can we get him to the playoffs, right? And obviously, you're not going to hold him back fully through the first 18 weeks. That's not going to help your team. But you're going to find a way to help him out and be healthy, right? Like, there are going to be certain things that they do, whether it's sending him on different rushes or different scenarios. Maybe you have to get Levi on the edge and Josh Pascal a little bit more until a certain week so you can help him get – I don't know what it is, but I like the fact that Kelvin's a little like he's aware, like self-aware of the situation. And number two, I don't know. I'm not a Marcus Davenport aficionado, but I like the fact that – and maybe it just clicked for him, and maybe he's done this every year. I really like the fact that he has been in Allen Park every day this offseason since the season's ended. Typically, guys leave. Typically, guys, might – and maybe he's done that in the past. The fact that Kelvin's like, hey, I talked to him, and he realized, like, this is a big offseason for him, and this needs to be different than in the past. And maybe the reason he's had injuries in the past is because his body wasn't up to that level, right? Like, it wasn't there. So I do really like the fact to hear at least that, hey, Every single day this offseason, he has been in there. The coaches have seen him in there. He's probably been in the training room. He's been working out, and his body's the best it's ever been since he's been in the NFL. That is how you prevent injuries, taking care of your body. And he hasn't done it his whole career. And the fact that he's now doing it gives me a little more confidence. Listen, I'm still with Klotz. I know what Klotz. I'm still with Klotz. Mm-hmm. There are positives to hearing what was said today. Those two things specifically.
I agree with you, Boone. Honestly, I do. And that's why I think Shep's always been like that. And obviously when Hard Knocks came out, you got a firsthand look at that. But that's when you really realize, like, that's what makes Kelvin Sheppard, outside of being a former player, such a good coach. Because if you're Marcus Davenport, like, that's what you need to hear as well. Like, you got re-signed. It's not like you're going to walk right back in and get that starting spot. You saw what Kelvin Sheppard did with that linebacker room. It's open season. But Kelvin Sheppard is spot on. But that's the whole question, is like, if Marcus Davenport can't stay healthy through 17 games in the postseason, through those 20, 21 weeks, I think Marcus Davenport could give you 8 sacks. I think he could if he stayed healthy. The only question is, can he? But no one is denying that Marcus Davenport, when he is healthy, is a very solid defensive end. But his whole career has been injuries. He's never played above 12 games in a regular season. But if Kelvin Sheppard, again, to your point, Boone, very aware, keeps that in mind when he's making these game plans where he's not having Marcus Davenport on the field. I don't know the exact snap count. Before the injury, maybe he was on the field 75% of the time because he was that starter. Put him on the field 60% of the time and figure out a way to get that rotation opposite of Hutch on a consistent, fresh basis, so Davenport is not getting hurt. Because I don't think even Davenport out there for 3 downs is something that's naturally ideal. It's probably the best situation, but when the injury comes into play, hey, let's go 5 defensive linemen. Mekhi Wingo, you step out. Josh Pascal, you step out. Figure out a way to keep Marcus Davenport from getting hurt as much as you can while still making a difference opposite of Hutch.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the big thing for me is what you just said, Klotz. I got to see him in a rotation. I think that's the best thing for him. I think at this point in his career, not that he's old, but just based on how often he gets injured, I think what would be best for him, like getting away from like the joking, like, oh, he's going to get hurt again, trying to be realistic, is you throw him in a rotation. Maybe the rotation is Adarius Smith. Maybe the rotation is Ahmed. Maybe the rotation is, AQM. I don't know, but I think
AQM's going to bring something this year. He'll get you 3 or 4.
You know who he called out today? Mitchell Agude. He said, "Hey, Mitchell Agude's came back ready to roll." I think there's some guys on this team that might shock some people.
Who else was he talking about that you liked last year? It might have
66,
not even been
Miles Adams. He talked about him a lot today.
It wasn't today. Like, it wasn't. I shouldn't have said him because it wasn't Sheppard. Who did you? Oh, Ukwu. I heard
Isaac Ukwu. Love him too. There's been a couple guys. Listen, I think there's a couple guys. I'm not saying Davenport's going to lose his job because if he's healthy, but it's everyone, man. Like, there's competition.
Yeah, and I think the rotation for him is the best way to keep him healthy. I do.
Yeah, I'm not guys to play.
I'm not saying he's not talented. I think the biggest thing for him is, man, you got to keep that dude in bubble wrap is until the season. You just have to make sure he's good. And
0
I know
preseason snaps.
And before, I already know the comment's going to come, or at least a comment in the chat. I'm going to close my eyes. I know one's going to drop in there. But Jeff, last year was a freak injury. Guys.
That means injury prone.
But when guys get hurt a lot, and there's a lot of freak injuries, it doesn't change the fact they're injury prone. You know what I mean? It just happens.
Exactly what that means.
If Hutch breaks, knock on wood, but if Hutch were to hypothetically, it's not going to happen. Look at the people in the chat. But imagine Hutch, like, next year breaks an arm, next year breaks this, breaks that. He's injury prone. It's like, Jeff, he's been freaking. It still doesn't change the fact he's injury prone. You know what I mean? So that's what Davenport is. He just he's just kind of like that. He's got probably, if I had to give an estimate of how many games you'll see Davenport, it'll probably be, I'll go 10 games, 11 games. I think that's probably what you're going to get out of Davenport.
I'll take that, to be honest.
That's nearing 10. Career high.
I think that, and I'm being completely serious. I think it's probably 10, 11 games.
Can I be honest too? I'm kind of like at that point with you said there, Jeff, like the rotation. And I don't think you guys would be mad. I don't know if in the chat you could put it in there if you would be. Limit snaps through 17 weeks. And he might not end up getting 8 sacks or 7 sacks. But if you look at him as a guy, like, the talent he has, like, I think that's something that isn't a question, again, that Kelvin said that we know, like, when he does play, there's production. It's about him playing. So if there's a way you can say, hey, let's limit the snaps so there's a less chance of injury and he's not putting that much wear and tear on his body for 17 weeks, and you're still getting, let's say, 4 or 5 sacks out of him, and you're rotating and you're getting sacks from other guys like Ahmed Hassanin or AQM or Josh Pascal, I think that's fair to roll with, man. And I don't think it's bad. And then when the playoffs come around, guess what you do? You play your best edge rusher. And if he's healthy, most likely with his talent and his skill set, he's probably your second best edge rusher when healthy. And that's what, like, I don't think anyone's argument ever hasn't been he's a good edge rusher. He's a great edge rusher. Remember last year, at the beginning of the year, all the rankings of the edge rushers, he was top 40 in every ranking that we had pulled up that one time.
I would say he's good, which is.
But it was like, yeah, he's a good number 2 when healthy. So if you could get him to the playoffs, like Kelvin said, and he's healthy in the playoffs.
Load management.
Yeah. And I'm not mad about it too. Honestly, I would not be mad. I would be pumped up if they actually just realize and go, okay, we can't let this guy play 60% of the snaps. He needs to play 30.
If his over-under is 9.5, which way would you guys go? Games?
I'd go under, at least in the regular season. I think, honestly, what will happen is he'll get hurt at some point during the season, probably like halfway through. I don't think it'll be like a season-ending type of thing, but it'll be a significant one where it's like, keep him healthy for playoffs. Like, let's just rest him. Yeah. Towards the end of the season, maybe they get him in for a game or two. But if there's an injury where it's like he could come back, but also it's better to wait till playoffs, I say wait till playoffs.
Shout out Pizza Guy too. He said man's gassing up Davenport. I'm not I think it's a fact when he's healthy, he is a good edge. That's where the point. The ed, like, go look at his games played and his sacks. It's good. The production's there.
I would say he's good, but if you want to do like Za'Darius, I think Za'Darius is
good. Again, people, I saw someone in the chat. I didn't say that for a reason. Za'Darius is better. Like that is what it is. That's why it's not even.
I'm defending just because you say good, people assume you mean like.
Yeah, no, he's your second best edge rusher on this team if healthy.
He's fine. What do I think? If he were to play a full season, let's hypothetically say, I think he can get you 7 sacks, 7 sacks, which is pretty. I mean, that's fine. He won't though, so he'll probably play 10 games and get you 5. You know what I mean? Probably 5, which is honestly is fine. You know what I mean? You'll take that. The big problem for me, and the reason why we keep bringing it up, is will he finish the season with the Lions? Like, what good is it if you're in the postseason and he's not there? Nothing.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Right. It's not. Who cares then? You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter. He helps you win a couple regular season games. Like, I want that man playing when they're in the playoffs. Yep. So if he has to load manage, play every other game or whatever the hell you got to do to get this man to play in the postseason, then do it. That's all I really care about, to be honest. All right. He also commented on Hutch though too, which I love. So here's Calvin Sheppard on Aiden Hutchinson.
From Hutch coming back, obviously working through that injury, a lot of times that's going to really motivate a player, especially with the trajectory he was on last year. He probably feels like he missed maybe something special. What have you seen from him coming back this offseason?
There's not a more resilient, mentally tough guy that type of injury during that type of season that he was on course of having could have happened to. I mean, he's out there. He's the most energetic guy on the field. He's ready to make the call out the huddle today. I went over there individual, and I said, Hutch, you know how I know you back? He's like, how? I said, because you touching that ground when you run that hoop. He said, and that's this little thing he does, like he's some supernatural cat, which he is. But I'm like, that's how I know you back, big dog. He said, I got you, DC. I was like, but no, the relationship me and Hutch have is unbelievable. The relationship he has with his peers, with his teammates, you would not know he's the caliber player he is by the way he carries himself. Like the way he works, his attention to detail in meetings, the way he helps people, the way he wants to be pushed and coached hard. Like, you start to get to a certain level and people think those guys at that top echelon and tier of the league, they're tapped out potentially. It's all over. Most of those guys is really special. They never have that thought in their mind. They want to be coached hard and they want to be pushed. The better the player, the harder you got to work to push and coach these guys. And he's the guy that's all in, and I'm elated to have him out there on the grass with us.
Can we? Okay, is it fair?
Oh no, muted Klotz.
Is it fair to say that the concern about Aiden is little to none at this point?
Yeah.
Is that fair? I don't have a concern for Aiden.
I don't. If it was a ligament, yes. But the fact that it's a broken bone and it's still a major injury, I'm not worried at all. If it was coming off a torn ACL, and even at that point, it's not like, oh, Hutch is never going to be the same. It's just like, is Hutch going to take a minute or two to get back to Hutch form? But coming off a broken
Right.
bone, like week 1, I expect to see damn near the same Aiden Hutchinson we saw in that Dallas Cowboys game before the injury. I think with like a ligament, maybe not the same case.
Do you know what's crazy too? It's like, and this is what I thought was crazy the other day. Jeff, I think I was with you last weekend, and there were like national accounts tweeting out trying to say that Hutch didn't look good. I can't stand some of these accounts, the Dove Kleinmans, these guys who put that stuff out and don't look at a full story. Do they realize it's May? He's still going through rehab. Now if he was 100% back and you saw videos of him maybe having a little hitch in his step right now, still, it's May. He has 3 or 4 months still till the season. He has so much rehab left. And I think my guess is they're doing it very smart to where they're not rushing him back. Obviously, there was a conversation if you make the Super Bowl, he was going to play. I think that was all just talk. I don't think he was ever going to play, knowing where he's at now and how long the process is. But it is May, guys. Like Aiden Hutchinson, you hear the story, you hear what Shep is saying about him. You don't see a guy like that is that good. How often do coaches talk about star players like that? You like only like all-time greats, I feel like, get talked about like that, to where it's like, hey, their mindset is just completely different. They're one of the greatest in the game right now and want to get better and still are at like that different level. I'm shocked. Even when I said Hutch Defensive Player of the Year, I was shocked to see some responses of people saying, oh, it's going to take him a while to get back to his normal. The injury was so long ago. The rehab's going to be over. He's going to be back just like he was before. There's a reason he's top 3 in Defensive Player of the Year odds right now.
Yeah. I think there's going to be very little to no, like, oh, Hutch is taking a while to come back. I think it's going to be pretty much, he's going to be going. Those type of guys are a little different. He's built different. So there's no really concern for me about it. The only concern I have, I guess, I don't know if I wouldn't call it concern yet. Maybe intrigue, slight concern is what's going on with Alex Anzalone. Because he was brought up today in the press conference, and Sean Dion Hamilton said no comment. So basically, why isn't he out there? And then you see all these deleted tweets. Boone, and you've been seeing it.
Yeah, I wanted to break some news here on the show. I told you I was going to break some news, and Jeff just broke it, Klotz. He stole my thunder. I'm
not hip to this news either, Boone.
I called Jeff. I said I have breaking news for the show today. I told him the breaking news with full integrity there. I don't know if you guys noticed this. Alex Anzalone has tweeted out multiple times over the last few days, quote tweeting the Trey Hendrickson news. Has anyone been on his Twitter in the last 24 hours? Every single delete has been deleted, or tweet has been deleted.
Oh,
every single one. Besides one, and you know what the last one says? Respect is due. Respect is due. So it's an interesting thing. He's out here tweeting the last 24, 48 hours. I don't know how many tweets were out there. Maybe 2 or 3. He quote tweets the Trey Hendrickson stuff. He puts out a couple other things. One about the Christmas Day game. And then I go today to go look at his Twitter, because I was going to go screenshot and post on our socials. Ask the question, what's going on? Gone. Tweets are gone. I don't know how to find them. I wanted to break the news. I told Jeff, I said, I'll just break it on the show tonight. Let's just keep it under wraps, because no one's talked. I haven't seen it on Twitter. No one's talked about the deleted tweets. All of a sudden deleted. I don't know where to find the tweets.
I think here's the thing, because I see Ryan says, to be fair, he hasn't been at OTAs in a few years. Fair. Let's go with that. why say no comment then when you're discussing why isn't he there? You could have easily answered with, you know what, Anzo, you know, we know what Anzo is. He's gonna be ready to go. There's no like you could have at least went into something. When you say no comment, that leaves, and then the deleted tweets, like quote tweeting Trey Hendrickson. My opinion, I think people when they read that, people immediately go to, oh yeah, like hell yeah, Trey Hendrickson to the Lions. It's like, no, look a little deeper. Why is he quote tweeting Trey Hendrickson, who's dealing with contract problems right now, and he's defending the players? You know, he quote tweeted Trey Hendrickson talking to the media saying like, oh, talking about his contract, like I'm not playing on 1 year and all this stuff. How many years does Anzo have left on his contract?
I believe this is last year, isn't it?
You know what I'm saying?
Final season.
You got to put these things together. It's like as a human being, look at Anzo, right? He's 30. What is he? 30 years old. He wants security, like rightfully so. You know what I mean? He came back last year. He was so important to this defense. Like he knows his worth. Obviously, he wants to stay in Detroit, but he just saw Derek Barnes get paid. You know what I mean? He sees everyone getting paid, and he's saying, well, what about me? You know, I've been important to this defense. I'm the guy that Kelvin's going to trust to be the shot caller this year. I know for the future it's going to be Jack Campbell, but I'm still Alex Anzalone. I'm still a very good linebacker. So in my opinion, I think there is a little opinion. I don't have any, confirmation or anything. I don't speak to Anzalone, but I think this is just, reading in between the lines a little bit. So I think Anzo probably wants that extension. You know what I mean? It's tough. You're playing on the final year of your deal. What happens if Anzo goes down this year and gets another injury? He doesn't have that security. So I think from a player perspective, looking at it from his perspective, I think it's fair to be like, hey, I want a little bit of security. If you guys want to keep me around, cool. If not, we got to figure something out here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get to, if he hasn't been at OTAs, I get that. It is, maybe he's down in Florida working out. I think that's fine, but it is something to where you do look at first year DC as a captain, maybe you would want him in the building. And I'm not saying I love Anzo, so I don't want to say he's doing the wrong thing, but I am with him to where, hey, if you do want a contract, like you don't want to go to OTAs and get hurt. And then you can't, like, they're like, hey, we got to wait for the year or just something like that. You do, like, the right play is to probably sit out until the deal is done just to be safe, especially for a guy like him who's towards the not end of his career, but a little bit older, who wants to get those deals. So if there's an issue, I'll say this. I think if that is an issue, I think Anzo, if I'm Brad, I pay Anzo. You just get it done. Like, that's a guy over the next 2 years. You're trying to win a Super Bowl. If he wants 2 years extended, or maybe he wants longer than that, and that's the problem. And I do think the one tweet he had is interesting, like respect is due on May 10th, 5 days ago. I don't know if that's just him posting a workout thing or if he's just saying like, hey, like he's trying to push something, because agents, I think I've heard, will tell players, hey, that this is how we're going to approach it. You put this out at this time, at this day. If this doesn't happen, let's throw a tweet out there to kind of push the narrative a little bit. I don't know. There's things like that that are said and talked about. So I don't know if that was that case or he was just posting a workout thing, just saying, hey, I'm ready to go. But if I'm the Lions, you don't let Anzo walk. You just pay him what he wants, even if it's, in my opinion, even if it's a 3-year deal. Just get the man, keep the man here. It's not worth losing a guy at that level.
I will riot if the Detroit Lions were to re-sign Derek Barnes and let Alex Anzalone walk out the door by the end of this year. I'm with you, Boone. And Alex Anzalone's deserved it. Like everything that he's done over the last 3 seasons, you watch him just steadily improve. Not to mention he's a middle linebacker. Like middle linebackers, they're not looking the same at 35 as they were in 30, but middle linebackers can play in the NFL for a little while as long as they're not getting neck and back injuries. Like a perfect example, where was Alex Anzalone before? New Orleans. Who was he playing? Who was he backing up? Demario Davis. Demario Davis played a little bit in New York, and he played for a little while. He's kind of in the same situation, backing up, goes to New Orleans late in his career, kind of late 20s, and he starts tearing up and is turned into an all-pro and a Pro Bowl type of player. So if you see Alex Anzalone, who's coming from that, when he was with Dan Campbell and Aaron Glenn, he's like, yo, you guys see what I've been doing for AG in this defense when there's been practically nobody in the secondary in the cornerback room. And Hutch has had no help. Aleem's been getting banged up. I'm the one that's been in the middle of this defense, making sure that everything's okay, flying around sideline to sideline, getting broken wrists, getting concussions. Like, Alex Anzalone has done everything this coaching staff has asked him to, and even more, in my opinion. I think Alex Anzalone, as far as a middle linebacker goes, a top 10 middle linebacker in the NFL. That doesn't mean you got to break the bake for him, but that definitely means that you don't let him walk out the door, because Alex Anzalone, I think, besides Aiden Hutchinson over the last couple of years, has been the most important player on this defense. I know that Brian Branch is very good, but he's been a young player in that secondary. Who's commanding everything in front of Brian Branch? Who's making sure that those runs don't meet that second level to Brian Branch if they have to? Alex Anzalone. So Anzo cannot walk out the door. I don't think it's like all or nothing with Anzo, but again, it goes back to the point of, you're going to re-sign Derek Barnes, Marcus Davenport, some of these other guys, but you're going to let Anzo walk. I don't think that they do. But if that case were to come up, I would have a huge, huge issue with it.
Like, for me, I'm battling because I full-heartedly agree with Anzo's approach. I think for players, he should want to get security. He should want to get paid. He should want, all that stuff. Like, I love Anzo. I think he should get taken care of. I just think from Brad's perspective, you have to look at a lot of different things. It's like, I wonder what number he would want. I don't think he would want to be the highest paid or anything. I'm not saying that.
Mm-hmm.
But he got 3 for 18 when he first got here. 3 for 18, 6 a year. He's probably going to want to raise probably 8, 9, something like that. I'm sure he'd probably want
to ask for 10 plus.
See, and that's where I'm like,
I just think you do it. I don't see that's a big piece.
It is, but that's why you have Jack too. Jack's going to take over the play calling. Jack's going to step into the Anzo role, and you get to shave $10 million. Like, that could be half of what you're paying Brian. That could be basically 60% of what you're paying Laporta. That can be, you know what I mean? That's where I start to get into those tough conversations of like, that's half of what you'd want to pay Jameer, probably, Lucas. Yeah. So that's the tough part. And I need to know like the years and how much, like, because there is a certain point where I'm like, if he wants more, like, cool, you should. I just don't think it'll be in Detroit.
That's where it
gets tricky for me.
Anzo, man.
I just don't see a world though where you like, if 10 is that question mark for you, you paid Barnes 8. There's a minimum you're paying Anzo 10 minimum.
Yeah, but they're probably. I'm just trying to look at it from Brad's perspective. You're paying Derek, who's 24, 25 on projection. You're paying Anzo on what he's done. He's 30.
That's why I might be taking a little longer.
Be really good at 32.
I know
he is. Anzo has gotten step.
You know what
but
I mean?
That's what you haven't even seen anything close to it. He's gone through injuries, and each year he keeps getting better. Like, this was not a down year for Alex Anzalone this year. Like, he got hurt, but when he was out there, it was the same Alex Anzalone you saw last year. And there was plays that he was making. They were like, wow, Anzo might have took another step. I expect Anzo, again, I'm not saying he's going to be better than Jack Campbell, because I think this year that Jack Campbell overtakes him. But I expect Anzo to play at least at the same level, and I wouldn't even be surprised if you see a little bit of an increase in Anzo. But the fact that he is playing for money, so he's going to be playing with his head cut off again this year. So if you watch what he does for this defense, you see how good this defense is stopping the run, identifying the run. A lot of it has to do with Alex Anzalone. I think he's very valuable outside of like the general NFL world. Might look at Alex Anzalone and be like, he's solid. But how important he is for this defense. Kelvin Sheppard is the DC. That's been his main guy in that linebacker room. Again, Jack's there. But if you could have Anzo as your LB2 for $10 million over the next 2 to 3 years after this season, sign me up.
The money thing does. You're going to have to pay Jack too at some point. There's a lot of money to a lot of different
Jack's
positions,
going into year 3. You probably give him an extension year 4. You know what I mean? So you got
which year? Next year.
Off
season.
He's
due next off season. So if you want to keep Jack Campbell, typically those guys, you opt into that 5th year outside of, the Lions have done it. They've opted into Hutch and Jamo this year. You would think they opt into Jameer and Jack next year, correct? That's that year. Am I thinking of the right? Yeah. So
you probably pay Jack going in. You're not going to pay him.
They're going to have to extend Gibbs and Jack next year. And Branch. Next year. That's where I think. Yeah. So this is a problem, and I think a lot of people aren't wrapping their heads around. And then this was the Trey Hendrickson situation that I've had an issue with some people. I don't think people actually will sit down and do their homework and look at the money situation over the next 4 or 5 years.
Right.
Especially next year when you're already, I don't know what it is now with the Kirby one, but I know it was almost 30 million around. I believe you're over the cap next year, like 30 or 40 million. And that was without the Kirby extension. I don't know how that affected it. But then next year you have 4 guys that you're most likely going to have to look at extensions for. Well, actually, 4 guys. You have Sam Laporta, Brian Branch, Jahmyr Gibbs, and Jack Campbell. That's a lot of money, man. That's a lot of money to one of those guys. I'll tell you this: 1 or 2 of those guys might not get a deal, and that's just strictly off of not wanting to have to give out those bonuses, the signing bonuses, and the money of everything. They might have to sit back and wait, just like Jamo's going to probably have to wait.
Yeah, it's just doing business, man. It's nothing personal. I just think if you pay Derek, obviously you expect Derek to take that step and be even better. And Derek can slide and play that will spot too. So like in the future, if you have Jack and Derek and you draft a linebacker next draft to be your Sam, or maybe he's the will and Derek stays at Sam, whatever it is. It's probably something that Brad's going to have to think about, for the future, is like bringing in another linebacker at some point. So it's just the reality of doing business. But I want to get to these underrated players because
what if that was like TJ Lang's burner? That would be so funny.
We did our own top 5 list. We're doing a top 5. It's top 5 Thursday. So today we're doing top 5 underrated players on the Lions. Who we think's underrated. Ties into maybe this conversation too. But let's get into it. Top 5 underrated Detroit Lions players. I will go first. Okay.
Can I be the middle of the sandwich here? Can I just be the second? Right in between?
I wish you wouldn't have said it like that though, but you absolutely
you can do whatever
can.
you want to do.
You absolutely
I'm not going to judge.
I think Jeff and I have similar ones. So that was why I threw that out there.
Me and Klotz, we had a debriefing earlier, and I made a last minute change on my list too because I thought about it. So here's my.
You guys are talking list before the show.
I'm chopping it up, but you'll see when I get to this list. You'll see when I get to this list. Here's my top 5 underrated Detroit Lions. Let me tell you why I have the players I have. All right. You're looking at this list and you're going, you know what, Jeff? That is a lot of very, very, very good underrated players. Let me explain to you why I have the players I have. All right. These guys are all very underrated. And number 5, Jake Bates.
Master Beta.
Put some respect on Jake Bates' name. Jake Bates last year, he came from the UFL. And this year, I know the offense was high-powered and all that. He was 5th among kickers in points. 142. He was tied for 9th with the longest field goal, 58. He had
tied for 9th. That's huge.
He had a game winner, a massive one against the Texans. He had almost a 96% extra point percentage. Money. And that's underrated, by the way, because we've seen kickers that struggle with extra points. So Jake Bates, to me, is very underrated. We got to put some more respect on Jake Bates' name when it comes to Detroit Lions players. All right, number 4, I got Jameson Williams, underrated. The thing that stands out to me with J-Mo is the production, but what he did with the catches. I think that's where the underrated comes into play. Is like, yeah, he had 1,000 yards. If you look at it and you look at players and you're like, well, 1,000 yards in today's NFL, it's like, you see guys get 1,000 yards. He did it on a significantly less amount of catches as other players do it. And I don't think he gets talked about enough as like kind of the up and coming, very, very good wide receiver. So Jameson Williams, I think, is very underrated. Number 3, I got David Montgomery, D-Mont, on this list. And Dave Montgomery, if he was an RB1, he would be ranked way higher than what he is. So I think Dave Montgomery is a very underrated Detroit Lions player. He got 1,000 yards, double-digit touchdowns his first year with the Lions, and he did that as sharing a backfield, by the way. And I think he only got 1,000 yards once with the Bears. So he did it sharing a backfield in Detroit. All he needed was a good offensive line, a good offense, a good culture, and you see what kind of player D-Mont is. He's a touchdown machine. So Dave Montgomery, to me, very, very underrated. I got Jack Campbell on this list too, and I'll explain why. Jack Campbell, very underrated because ask anyone outside of Detroit, they don't know who Jack Campbell is. No one knows who he is. Detroit Lions fans know who he is. Detroit Lions media knows who he is. And the one point we will not argue, Boone, is last year he had a good year. He did. He was very good. And I think this year, I think he exceeds, and he's the best linebacker on the Lions. So Jack Campbell, underrated, and will be eventually fairly rated once he starts breaking out. Number 1, Amik Robertson. I think Amik Robertson's the most underrated. He's a starting nickel on a Super Bowl contender. And Amik Robertson, you saw in that Commanders game when he went down, you saw the impact he had. And then when he wasn't there, you saw how bad they missed him. And he's someone that, again, no one really knew who he was. All due respect to him with the Raiders. And then he comes to the Lions, plays on a better team, and he plays the game he played against Justin freaking Jefferson. Many would argue best wide receiver in the NFL. He played the game he played against him, played lights out, was very good. And you don't see too many just, Jags doing that. He's a very good corner, very good nickel, and I think he's not talked about enough. So these are my top 5 underrated Detroit Lions players in the order they are in. And for me, how I define underrated, because I see Malik said, I don't see enough Ragnow love. I thought about putting Frank Ragnow. I just think these are guys like Frank has an all-pro, so it's like
they all-pro, you're automatically out.
Yeah, I try to look at that too. It's like he's got an all-pro, even though I agree with Malik. Like no one talks about Frank Ragnow, but these guys don't. These guys are all just players that don't have. I don't think any of these guys have Pro Bowls.
No.
So yeah, literally no Pro Bowls, and they're all very good players. So this is my list, fellas.
Yeah, I don't hate it.
I think I don't think there's much to pick apart.
No, I think the only pushback I have is there's just one player. My number 1 player is not on your list at all, which makes me think it makes me think just maybe I did the list wrong as well. Klotz is talking about he did the list wrong earlier. Maybe I just but no, I like it. I have every other player on mine besides my number 1 overall is not even on your list. So
Patrick says no Manu.
Yeah, I mean, this is an opportunity missed.
Yep, no Manu. He just missed the cut. But no, he is not on this list. But yeah, I feel pretty strongly about this.
The disrespect.
Jake Bates was the last minute ad, and
Switch.
I can't believe I didn't think of him earlier. I
bet you. Oh, so and I'm going to say this: if Klotz has Jake Bates and you guys talked it over and you added Jake Bates, I think both of your guys' top 5 should cancel. And
no,
I think the originator of the idea.
You can't look.
Should
you can't look at other people's lists and then switch and add. What you have to stick with your list. I think that's collusion at its finest.
No, it's not collusion. It's figuring out the best list, which I think Jake Bates belongs on a list.
Klotz, that you deserve. If you have Jake Bates on there, Klotz, you will get every single bit of credit.
All right, at least we can stand there.
I think Jeff's list ends at 4.
This is how you got him. You got him.
Klotz brought up Jack Fox. I brought up Jake Bates. I told you. Yes, I did. You said Jack Fox.
I didn't mean to start this between you two. Go ahead, you guys. Let me sit back out of an argument.
Let's not let Boone get us like this. Okay.
All right. Yeah,
very fine.
Whoa. See what is this? Anytime you guys are about to go, you guys just take a step back.
World, Boone. You got to maintain to survive.
I can't believe that collusion, though. Because I didn't get a chance to look at either of your guys'. If I saw it, I would have switched and threw Jake Bates.
I didn't look at it. It was literally a player. That is the collusion. It wasn't.
I probably would have added Jack Fox or Jake Bates if I saw both of your guys.
Well, you got to. That's the. We got to think.
You thought deep and you didn't have them. You had to see someone else's list to switch it.
No,
you didn't think deep.
Boone. Can we not do this?
I'm tired. I love you.
You don't listen and you're not thinking deep.
Let's just not get. Let's just.
He said, "Boone, you got to think deep."
Yeah, because Jake Bates popped in that.
You thought pretty deep.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right, Boone. Get to your list.
My number 1 player was not on Jeff's list.
Does it? What?
My number 1
automatically correct one?
My number 1 player was not on Jeff's list. I you know what? I'm on a path of gaining respect for some people here in this room and for some Lions fans and as well as national media. Number 5, Jameson Williams. I don't need to go into a big spiel about Jameson Williams. You guys all know what this guy's about. When I made my list, boys, I didn't think underrated in the Lions world as much as I did nationally.
Yes,
I looked at it nationally, and I said Jameson Williams, the fact that he didn't even get a conversation for only playing in 15 games and almost putting up 1,100 yards and 7 touchdowns and only 50-something catches, the fact that his name never popped up for a Pro Bowl or an alternative might be one of the most disrespectful and just quite frankly, dumbest things I've ever seen in the NFL in the last few years. J-Mo is on that level now, and I said it this. I made the statement. I think this year is a lock for him to be a Pro Bowler. I think he takes a little bit of a step, and all he needed to do last year was get 200 more yards and another touchdown, and he's probably playing in the Pro Bowl. So I think nationally, people need to start looking at Jameson Williams as a legit threat around the NFL. He's probably the biggest. I would say this outside of Tyreek Hill, probably the biggest playmaker in the NFL. Like, his speed is unmatched. I was watching highlights of him today. He takes off 0 to 60 in like 2 seconds, and no one touches him. And there will be a player right next to him. You're not touching him. So I had J-Mo at 5. D-Mont, I saw a lot of people, Jeff, with you, like, why D-Mont's not underrated. I think nationally he is. I think nationally, because he's behind Jahmyr Gibbs, I don't think D-Mont's talked about enough. I really don't. I think there's a world with D-Mont where if he was on 25 other NFL franchises, he's probably the starting running back. And
if
people don't look at
Boone, if he was on the Chiefs,
he would be the starting running back.
He'd be getting glazed.
That'd be filthy.
There's only probably 8 or 9, maybe 10 running backs in the NFL to where if he got put on that team, he wouldn't take their starting job. I think there's 20-ish teams where he would take the starting job, and he's just not talked about around the league. Like, you could consider him an alternate to the Pro Bowl. I don't know if he might have been, but he just hasn't got a Pro Bowl, and he doesn't complain about not getting the snaps that he wants, nothing like that. He just goes out there and he makes some of the biggest plays. Remember 2 years ago, he had the number one play in the NBA in the 2024 season or 23 season, that play versus the Chargers. And then what did he have this last year? One of the best plays in NFL season, trucking that guy from Seattle. I can't remember who it was. And then taking her off and running for 60 yards. So D-Mont's one of the most underrated. I won't get into Amik as much because Jeff kind of did. I think the good thing about Amik Robertson too, I'll say this, I think he's one of the toughest players in the entire NFL. Like, toughest, and pound for pound, probably the toughest player in the NFL. He doesn't just play slot. That man played outside when his number was called, and guess who he matched up against? Justin Jefferson, and he dominated, and he gave fits to Justin Jefferson. He deserves to be on this list. Jeff, I love the fact you had him at number 1. You guys know how I feel about Jack Campbell. I think even there's people in the Lions fan base. This isn't just national. I think there are people in the Lions fan base who let certain things overcloud what Jack Campbell actually did last year. If you go watch the film and you see what he did and compare him to his peers around the NFL, you could make an argument he's a top 15 linebacker in the NFL in 2024. And a lot of people don't want to say that. You could have made an argument he could have been a Pro Bowler or close to a Pro Bowler, not a Pro Bowler, but even an alternate. So I think Jack Campbell this year becomes that Pro Bowler, potential all-pro player, and people are going to start to notice him. And number 1.
I got to hear this, Boone.
At number 1, the heartbeat and the leader of the Detroit Lions, Jared, I don't know his middle name. Thomas Goff. Great middle name, by the way. I have an Uncle Thomas. Jared Thomas Goff, number 1. Listen, I know Jared's been a Pro Bowler. I get that. When you look at the totality of all of these players, quarterback is the biggest position in the NFL. He was an MVP finalist. Fine. Hate me for putting him on here because of that. This man, and let me just give you guys some stats. Are you guys ready for this over the last 4 seasons since 2022? Are you guys ready for some stats? 3 seasons. I apologize.
Go ahead.
First in passing touchdowns with almost 100. First in passing yards, almost 14,000. 4th in quarterback completion percentage, and 4th in quarterback wins. This guy is a top 5, top 6 quarterback in the NFL. You still have rankings that come out nationally daily. And this isn't a joke. I saw one the other day that have Jared Goff at 14, 15, 16, 17. I don't know what world in national media and around the world that you can look at what Jared Goff has done since 2022, and I can't take you seriously if he's not top 7 or top 8 in your quarterback rankings. I can't take you seriously. And there are national networks and people who cover the game of football who constantly put him outside the top 10. I can't take him seriously. And I don't know what else Jared Goff has to do outside of just winning a Super Bowl, but on the field play, what else he has to do to kind of switch that narrative. Because yes, there was the four turnovers in the Commanders game. Fine, I'll take that. Did he not lead it to the Lions to an NFC Championship game? Has he not won 15 games? Like he's done a lot. And he's done more than some quarterbacks that people put in the top 10 over the last 3 years. So that's where I think if you look at just the percentage and like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, there's a word I'm looking for with this when it comes to like when you rank guys, there is just a level that is a little bit different. I think at the quarterback spot, and especially with Jared Goff nationally, it's just more than all these other guys. I think just consistently because he's a quarterback and is always in the media's eyes, that people are just going to constantly just go at him and negativity, rank him outside the top 10. It's constant for him. So I had to throw him at number 1 just based off of that.
Boone, I agree with a lot what you're saying about Goff. I think he's perfectly rated, but I can respect the support that you're trying to show him and be like, hey, I understand that he's talked about, but he's not talked about enough. Pretty much the same thing with Hefe's list. Not much. I wouldn't have Goff at 1. Okay, I'll tell you that much. But I can see the vision in what you're doing, and I can appreciate it. I can agree to disagree with you. I think most people, not everybody, there might be some people on national outlets, to your point, that don't view him as at least a top 10 quarterback. Maybe they put him at 10, which I think is a little too low. But I think most people in the NFL view Jared Goff as a top 10 quarterback. But, hey, you're very high on Jared. That's your guy. You DM'd him pretty much like every day for 2 years, I want to say, before games, giving him those pregame hype speeches, which probably at the end of the day was the missing factor and helped him turn around his career in Detroit. So I respect the support you show him, Boone. It's just not something I would have done, but I can see the vision of what you're doing.
Like this ranking I just pulled up, they had him 12th. That's crazy. That's so disrespectful.
Was Dak in front of him?
Probably.
Oh. That's the one that always.
Bo Nix is in front of him.
Bo.
JJ McCarthy, Justin Fields, Drake May.
What platform is
that's
that?
correct. I bet Bucky Brooks made that.
Bucky Brooks is funny, dude.
Bucky Brooks or Charles Davis, one of the two.
That is so funny, dude. The Bucky Brooks thing just coming out of left field is so funny.
I think the only thing I disagree with, I like the list. The only thing I disagree with, I think Goff's too high. I don't think he shouldn't be on. I'm not saying he shouldn't be on the list. I just
standing on my hill.
Like I think Goff, you probably had an argument for him at like 5. He's probably on a fringe for me. Because I don't disagree with a lot of what you said. I just don't think he's more underrated than Jack, Amik, D-Mont, J-Mo. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's fair.
That's the only pushback. It's
the
not
totality.
That
I had a word and a phrase that I wanted to use and it slipped my mind.
Forgot the phrase. Yeah, I mean it's. Well, you know, if
what
it
is it? I want to see it. I want to see it. I'm joking.
If it pops in your head, you could say it.
I will.
All right. Klotzy.
Save the best for last, fellas. Come on. Throw it up. Throw it up. My number 1 was on neither of your guys' list. Okay, fellas. But we're starting from number 5. The origin, Boone. Jake Bates.
Jeff's is officially voided. Jeff's number 5 is officially voided.
Confirmed. Mine still stands, though, okay? This guy's hitting game winners, 50-yard plus, was one of the best kickers from range last year. Like Hefe said, coming off of the UFL, I was somebody that didn't say Jake Bates was going to be bad, but I definitely had some cautiousness when you're bringing in a kicker out of the UFL and you're asking him to be the kicker for a Super Bowl contending team. But there was not a game where Jake Bates blew his opportunity. If he missed a kick, he was automatic for the next stretch of games. So I think he's going to be somebody that in the next couple of years, if not this year, because, again, there's going to be a lot of primetime games, he's going to be kicking some walk-offs. I bet Jake Bates will start to become in that conversation for the elite kickers up there with Boone's guy, Brandon Aubrey, another UFL kicker. Number 4, I think we all had J-Mo at number 4. I could be wrong, but I don't need to expand on J-Mo much more than you guys did.
Well, he's at 5 for Boone.
He's at 5? Okay. 5 for Boone. So in the same range. I just think the thing with Jameson Williams is people think outside of Detroit, that he could be like a gimmick wide receiver, purely just speed. But even like we were talking yesterday about what Scotty Montgomery had to say, he's made that second kind of step that he needed to, because he had the talent, he had the skill. You knew that was there, but he needed some refinement. He plays so fast that, yeah, sometimes he's not going to be the best route runner because he needs to slow down and then use a little bit more burst. And maybe he's going to be more than just a over the middle, a deep shot type of guy. Obviously, use him in the run game, throw him some screens. But this year, I think we truly see Jamison Williams turn into that true wide receiver on the outside that can do everything you ask him for. Number 3, Jack Campbell. I agree with you guys. Jack Campbell is underrated. Not many people outside of Detroit are going to be remembering the name Jack Campbell, but I think after this year, it changes. The one reason why I don't have him at number 1 is simply because pass coverage. He's not terrible, but he's definitely not what you expected at this point coming out of Iowa. I think that was something that people kind of praised him for, was the pass coverage. Again, not terrible, but that's the number one thing where it's like, I don't think Jack Campbell has passed Anzo yet. That step, though, I think does come this year. Amik, you guys have been hitting it right on the head with Amik. He's great in coverage when he needs to be on the outside, and man, can come up against RPOs, running backs, tight ends, and deliver a hit. That game against Jacksonville where he absolutely laid out Travis Etienne after sniffing out the screen, that's what Amik Robertson does against the run, screen game, short passes, and then locking up Justin Jefferson in Week 18. And then, Jeff, you nailed it when you're talking about the playoff game. When he went down, when you saw that he snapped his arm like that, it kind of was like, you didn't want to say it yet, but that's when the game was over, because you couldn't afford to lose Amik Robertson in that situation, going up against a team that has a mobile quarterback, a tight end in Zach Ertz, and then a solid running game. But number 1, fellas, and I'm disappointed in both of you, because I know that he's good, and we know that he's good. Alex Anzalone is, I would say, one of the more underrated players in the NFL, period. Man has yet to get a Pro Bowl. The household name, Zaire Franklin Boone, he's getting Pro Bowls. Alex Anzalone ain't getting Pro Bowls, and I would beg to differ that Alex Anzalone, as an overall linebacker, is just better. He's one of the best off-ball linebackers in coverage. We see what he does against the run, and he's got 5.5 sacks over the last 3 years, so he gets to the quarterback too. We all remember that play where he's chasing down Geno Smith to end the half against Seattle. We all remember the tip pass that led to an interception for Jerry Jacobs in Green Bay. He's been through every step and stage of this rebuild, and he just keeps getting better and better and better. And I had to listen to last year, and Boone, you're still saying it, and I respect your consistency with it. Jack Campbell's better than Anzo. And that is just something I'm not willing to admit yet. Not going to, because Anzo, honestly, I've been saying it. He's not Fred Warner, Roquan Smith, those type, Matt Milano. He's not those linebackers. But there will be a month through a season where it's like he's playing like he's Fred Warner right now, like he's Roquan Smith. Now there'll be a game where he doesn't, and Jack Campbell's going to be having those games here pretty soon. But Alex Anzalone, the most underrated player on this team. And I think, we were talking about it last segment. Like, he deserves to get paid. He hasn't got paid yet. Like, pay that man. Anzo's the number 1 underrated player on the Detroit Lions, fellas.
I'm going to say the same thing I said to Boone. I like Anzo. I just don't think he's fucking one.
Yeah.
He's
If I'll take with Jared Goff, I understand why he could be 4 or 5. I understand why people want to have him number 1. I would say the same thing with Anzo. About 10 minutes ago, hold on. 10 minutes ago, you just said Jack Campbell's going to be better than Anzo this year, and now you all of a sudden are like, Anzo's the better one. I can't believe people would say that.
As of what is it?
You just said it.
May 15th, 2025, as we stand right now, he's better. And that doesn't make him more or less underrated, because when he is better, it's just going to make him even more underrated.
I think, in my mind,
just saying, Jack Campbell passed him. He's washed. And here comes Alex Anzalone. Shot out of a fucking cannon.
Is underrated, but I think people around the NFL know what this man's about. I think they do. I think more people don't know what Jack Campbell's about when we know what he's about than Anzo. Like, if you had Anzo 4th or 5th, I'd be like, okay, love that. That's a great poll. It's probably the same feeling you have with Jared Goff at number 1 for me. So it's okay.
He said,
I get it.
He said it's a good poll. We have some people dropping their underrated players. By the way, Pennywise, appreciate the $2. Says, we doing a record prediction for the NFC North? We will. Don't worry, it's coming.
Got a long offseason, Penny.
We got that coming. Don't worry. Appreciate it though, Pennywise. Coach Walk says, Terran Arnold. I don't know if he's underrated yet.
You gotta wait.
Yeah, because he's not. No, all due respect.
You don't even know what he is.
Yeah, all due respect to him. There's not really anything to rate. You know what I mean? It's not a lot of positive. You know, there's some positive at the end of the year, but it's not like that's like, I don't know. Try to say this without sounding like an asshole, but it's just we got to see it this year. If he improves and he's not really talked about, then I can give you that one.
So what you're saying is you hate Terry? I'm kidding.
Yeah, basically. Detroit City says Rodrigo.
That's who I was fighting.
That's a good one.
Rodrigo and Jake Bates at 5.
How mad would you be, Klotz, if I had like Derek Barnes number 1?
Number 1, I'd be like, what in the
I should have done that.
Hey, what about Bryce Perkins?
Great player.
B Perk.
Malik said Bryce Perkins underrated.
Hey, BP.
Yeah, that's I love that one. Andrew said TA. Nemesis said Arnold.
A lot of Arnolds. Wow.
And then
I'm surprised nobody said DJ Reed. Oh, how did I leave Tim?
You forgot about Timmy P.
What did you tell me before this? What did you tell me before him? Got to think harder.
Got to think harder, Klotz.
I'm disappointed in myself, fellas.
You gotta.
By the way,
he would have been my number 1.
I want to make sure I pronounce his name.
Oh, so Anzo, he doesn't even have a guarantee.
Yeah, no, Anzo would be moved down to number 2. Tim Patrick would be number 1.
That's crazy work, by the way.
Suck it.
Did you hear what Scotty said, or Tashard Choice said to Scotty, or not Scotty, to Kelvin Sheppard?
I did not.
He said it. Kelvin said it in his press conference today. He said Tashard came up to him, or they were talking about something. He said, "I don't want you to judge me on Jameer Gibbs, David Montgomery. I want you to judge me on Sione Vaki and Craig Reynolds." What? Imagine a running back coach being like, "Don't judge me on my star players. Judge me on my number 3 and number 4. How do they perform?"
Dude,
when he said that, I was like, Kelvin said when he said that, he was juiced. Like, this guy's about it. Because they're like best friends. And he was like, "Yep. That's how I know he's ready for the job."
Man. That's actually hilarious.
Another player you got to watch. Look up Tashard Choice NFL highlights. Fun.
I'll do that. I'll check it out.
He played Cowboys.
Cowboys, played a couple other places. I can't think off the top of my head.
I can't. I don't. That's the only place I remember.
Yeah, I want to say he played for 3 teams.
They said he just walks around the facility yelling. Just like, and they're like,
running back coaches.
Some people. Scotty came up to Kelvin and said, "Is he always like this? Like, is he always yelling?" He said, "He's not going to stop."
I love that. I do.
Yeah.
That's what I miss about Deuce, man. We ran into Deuce in Indy. Like his presence, that dude gets on. I mean, he gets on those running backs. We watched it. I mean, we literally watched it on Hard Knocks and in person. And that's how Scotty Montgomery coaches too.
Yeah,
so
I love Scotty Montgomery was my favorite coach during training camp to go and just watch.
Yeah, he's just like that. Like Scotty he'll let you know. You know what I mean? That's why I'm glad. Yeah, you got Scotty and Tashard Choice.
Tashard, dude. That's such a crazy 1-2. And they were asking him too, like, are we gonna see the battle like in Hard Knocks? Do you remember with the Deuce and who was it? And AG like yelling at each other? Kelvin today was like, I can't wait to go back and forth with Tashard and Scotty.
Johnny Moe chirping at Shep.
That would be funny. That would be so funny.
John Morton's the one talking the most shit the whole time.
Johnny Moe would just he's the type of guy that would just he would just lose his cool after a while. He just like Ben Johnson. So I don't know. Maybe Johnny Moe's like that. I feel like Johnny Moe would be like,
because he's that former player. He gets it.
He's got that
player. What the fuck you gonna do? Looking over at Shep.
I would love to hear Dan.
4-3. I ran a 4-3.
I want to hear Dan like go at it with someone. Like that's someone I would love to hear.
Hey, James Houston.
Most underrated.
Spencer, I expect better out of you.
Alex's mailbag. What is your most hated college football team besides the main rival?
Oh, that's a good question.
It's a great question. Let me think.
I
got 2. I hate Florida for no reason. I just do not like Florida. And have never, ever, and ever will. These 2 teams are tied. Been fans of USC or Notre Dame. I cannot stand Notre Dame. Join a conference.
Notre Dame.
Stop acting like you should be a prevalent college football program. We see what happens every time you're in a big game. Saw it again this year. They're just it's like a waste of space. Like you're requiring your athletes to get a fucking 4.5 to get into your school. You get these insane polls, and it's all for nothing because you're too scared to join the Big Ten. Notre Dame, Florida,
I like the USC poll too. It's like USC
it's a soft program.
It's like it's like, what have you done the last decade?
Always overhyped.
Yeah. To be honest, all those West Coast teams, outside, like haven't done anything.
One that's not.
What about most hated NFL team before we end the show? That's a good one too. Besides obviously the North. Besides the North, this one to me is pretty easy. I feel like most people should have the same one.
The Cowboys probably
easily. You know what I mean?
The Cowboys for sure. I hate the Cowboys.
Besides the Cowboys, I'll probably go.
Let me pull this up again.
Trying to think of a team like I truly can't stand.
I don't know if there's one. Yeah, but do you truly hate them though? I feel like you don't. I feel like it can't be forced. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't want to just say a team when it's like I really don't hate.
I hate the fucking Titans. Can't stand the Titans. Ryan Tannehill and Marcus Mariota. That's the first thing that pops in my mind.
Will Compton though.
You're wasting Derrick Henry's career.
Oh,
Jeff Fisher can't stand him. Jeff Fisher cannot stand. Used to really not like the St. Louis Rams. I like them a little bit more now that they're winning.
No, we know.
Can release express.
He said, "We know.
We know you like them."
Hey, appreciate you all, man. Seriously, it's we got a long off season, and this has been fun. I mean, we're in the middle of May right now, and we have OTAs. We already went through rookie mini camp. The grind is here, so we appreciate you.
There's no mini camp or mandatory mini camp for the Lions.
I
canceled them.
Yeah, I was gonna say
I think they're the only team that might have canceled. No, they have mandatory mini camp usually, but the Lions canceled them because they have to be back early. Training camp's going to be early this year because of the Pro Football Hall of Fame game.
We got to go to that too, boys. By the way,
it'd be a good one.
Yeah, we got to figure out maybe a stream there or something because we got to stream too. We got to figure something out.
On the ground. It's like a 45-minute drive for Klotz. Yeah, no, like an hour.
Yeah, maybe we get you down there. That'd be sweet.
Let's do it.
Place I was supposed to land by the end of my life. I'll be in Canton one day, boys. Don't know what for.
Oh, okay. We're ending the show. 8 p.m. tomorrow.
Actually, you just love ball. When you love ball so much that when you die, you tell your family, bury me in a
gold jacket.
Cemetery in Canton. I don't care where I'm from. I want to be buried in Canton somewhere.
Hey, boys, where was football born in? Ohio? Where do the dogs come out when it comes to football? Ohio. State of ball. State of ball.
We got to shut him up. We're out of here. Appreciate you. Be back tomorrow, 8 p.m. Be there.
State. Love you guys.
That's for football, Boone. Natty champs. Jeremiah is going all the way to